We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I am Sherman Trey White of Podcast Media, and joining me are the men, the myths, the legend, back from our 1 week long nap, Trilbee and Bandit.
Hello everyone.
Is it that time of week again? Oh,
I
God.
suppose so.
Don't wake me up so early, guys.
I feel hungover even though I haven't drunk anything. Is that normal?
I'd see a specialist about that.
I mean, maybe that's why maybe next time we shouldn't invite Bill Cosby to our parties. Oh, sorry. All right, that's too bad.
We're not drunk enough. We're not drunk enough. That's what's up.
Oh boy, I didn't realize I was going to make that joke. That was the first joke I made. I think that's a good precedent for the show today, guys.
Great.
Sorry to everyone for not having an episode last week. Sorry to you guys as well.
That's a shame, because last week I think we did a really good episode.
No, I really wanted to hear it, but
it's really profound. If more than anything, it was like a genuine discussion. It wasn't just screaming at each other.
And guys, so much politics, politics.
I feel like we didn't do any politics last week. I think that might be what's right. I think we completely just kind of skipped over. I think we made a couple of Trump jokes. That's about it.
But folks, you can rest assured that every opinion you have, we had last week too. There was nothing disagreeable at all. You would have loved it.
Because you'd be in jail.
Oh boy.
So
you started off with Trump and Bill
everyone.
Cosby. That's a great way to pick up the show.
Because you guys, you both recorded your individual sides of the conversation, and then I was going to edit them together, because I wasn't there. Because normally I record it with a call recorder, but I think it was Trey, your side, every 10 seconds or so, it would skip over a few seconds.
It'll do that. Yeah.
So I was like, well, unless I go through every single minute and edit so that the conversation lines up, manually, of a 2-hour long podcast, it's not going to sync, and even then you're going to miss chunks. So I was like, oh god.
Yeah, my Audacity will do that from time to time. I think I recorded an Oscars commentary by myself talking about the Oscars this past year, and the way my audio saved is that it saved every 20 minutes or something like that. And so it was just me talk, and I would jump back in, and my Skype will do, not my Skype, my Audacity will do that from time to time. And you talked about waking up. I actually just woke up. I woke up about 40 minutes ago, and I was like, oh wait. So I've been laying down because I've had the splitting headache for 24 hours, and it's not gone away.
And as soon as this podcast's done, I go to bed.
I got to go do something.
Sunday night.
Yeah, going to be a good podcast. We all don't want to be here.
I always want to be here. This is a highlight of my week, folks.
This is still the highlight of my week. I think they would just expose the Bandit doesn't want to be here. It's okay. I'll get through my headache. It's fine. I love doing this show. And the listener deserve to hear it. If not, we miss a week and we come back all sounding horribly sick. So whenever you guys are ready, let's get to the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
All right, guys, this is the movie news portion of the show, in which case we talk about the movie news that came over the last week. For starters, the big one, the Rogue One trailer hit. And finally, we have a Rogue One trailer that I actually really enjoy. It's a first. I actually really dug this one. I was actually getting really emotional by this trailer. This is what I was talking about. When that last trailer came out, I was like, it's okay. And you guys looked at me like, what? The trailer was great. I'm like, no. This is what a great trailer looks like for Rogue One. This is what they promised 2 years ago when they said, we're going to give you a war film set in the Star Wars universe. This is what I thought we were going to get. I love this trailer. But what about you guys?
I agree.
Yeah, I liked it. To me, it was just as good as the others. What was it that was different about this that sort of turned you around?
I think it's just the fact that it gave us more without revealing the actual plot of the story. You know what I'm saying? I think it's... I got the Star Wars feel without it feeling like a Star Wars episode. You know what I'm saying? It felt like this is the first time I think it felt like a war film set in the Star Wars universe. I still had that Star Wars feel to it. You have the X-wings in space. Looking at I think that might be. That guy looked like Wedge Antilles, but whatever. And then you had all the shots of the Death Star, Vader talking with the Imperials. It just felt like a Star Wars movie without it having to feel like a Star Wars episode. It still felt war film-esque, if that makes any sense. The other trailers, I think, failed to capture the Star Wars feel that I was kind of looking for with the other, because it just something just didn't feel right with the other trailers. And plus, they gave Jyn Erso more to do in these trailers. They gave Felicity Jones; she's clearly going to do well in this role. Jyn Erso clearly feels like a different character than I thought she was going to be at the first two trailers. Everything just looks kind of better, if that makes any sense. The CG's a lot better. This is the trailer I wanted from the beginning.
Plus, Vader's in it properly.
Well,
he was in the last one. You see the back of his head. Yeah,
that's not even my favorite part of the trailer.
I thought you'd hate it even more because, like last one, you said it feels like they're trying to make it too much like the originals, and this one they actually showed Vader. So I thought you'd be like, ah. But
is that what I don't feel like that's not what I said. Is that what I said? I'm asking you now, Trilbee, not Bandit.
I can't remember what we talked about last week, let alone what we did like a month ago.
Because Bandit has some messed up memory sometimes. But no, but I will say this. I think, and I feel like everything about my feelings about this film and what I think this film should be is defined in that first maybe 20 seconds of the trailer, where we get the shot of Matt Mikkelsen and Ben Mendelsohn. That to me felt so Star Wars, but it felt so different than anything else we've gotten before. And then you have Jyn Erso. Like if you didn't know that was a Star Wars movie, you wouldn't know until you see the Stormtrooper walk past her in the sun. Like, oh, that was perfect. That's I think is the best way you can open up that trailer. I love the opening to the trailer. That's my favorite part of the trailer.
I love how the trailer gets built and built. I love the music that's there. And we've got Forrest Whitaker being cheesy as hell, like, save the rebellion, save the dream. It does feel like a really optimistic trailer. But I went back and watched the first Rogue One trailer after I saw this latest one. And Forrest Whitaker's hair is completely different. So I'm guessing all of these reshoots that happened were mostly surrounding Forrest Whitaker, at least as far as the trailer's concerned.
I heard it was the whole cast.
Was it?
It was with the cast, yeah.
Well, fair enough. But yeah, you can tell that there have been some changes. But as long as it comes together at the very end, I don't care if you only studied for your test the night before. As long as you get a good grade, I don't care. It's the end result I really care about. But I loved the look of the space combat and everything that was happening towards the end. And I just hope that this isn't like Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, where it's like, oh, the TIE fighters, we're gonna go save the world, and then it just cuts to a kid watching the attack on TV, which would be the worst.
Listen, I'll listen. All I'll say
it's like Darth
Vader
whips out the lightsaber.
If it would have been,
if you would have, and cut away.
All I'll say is this: if you would have seen Godzilla fight the entire movie, we would have gotten bored of it by the time he reached Hawaii. That's all I'm saying.
I wouldn't.
I disagree.
I paid to see a movie called Godzilla.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Godzilla fighting stuff.
And we got to see him fighting. You know, I'm not here to have a Godzilla debate.
It was in dark, hidden behind all these clouds. You couldn't really see.
I'm not here to have a
The last 20 minutes of Godzilla kicks ass.
It does. The last 20 minutes of some of the whatever. I think it's a great film.
I just don't care about the build-up. But hey, right. but this looks good. I'm still wondering whether or not this tactic to hide Vader so much will turn around and maybe bite them in the ass. Like maybe some people still do not understand where this movie takes place. I don't know. I can't claim to.
I'll say this: I showed one of my teachers the trailer, and like halfway through, she's like, "Wait a minute, that's not the same girl." I'm like, and then she saw Vader's like, "Wait a minute, is this a prequel?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She paused the trailer and she walked away. She's like, "I'm not watching no prequel." Like I'll be honest, she was really upset that it was a prequel, not Episode 8. So I think I'll tell you, the prequels of that video you posted, Bad, about the prequels, it's still there.
That was a funny video.
Good job on you, Ben, but that prequel hate is definitely still present.
Well, I think, but I think most of the uninitiated, like, they should get that it's not a sequel to Force Awakens. It's got the Death Star there. It's got Darth Vader there. There's enough stuff they should figure it out.
I mean, no, she got it eventually, but I'll tell you what, she was not happy that it was a prequel. She was not happy. I mean, luckily that picture's circulating around about the chronological order where Rogue One fits into things, but I feel like this is kind of the first, like, once this happens, once Rogue One hits and people understand what Rogue One is essentially, it's the tester, you know. By the time Han Solo comes out, I think people will understand that, you're going to get an episode and then a spinoff. But people, you know, Force Awakens was such a huge phenomenon, people are expecting this to be the sequel to Force Awakens, and it's not, you know.
Yeah, once people understand what an anthology movie what those are, then we should be set.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, as long as Rogue One's good, people aren't going to care.
Should I jump into some of the news stories I got?
Well, I
Sure.
just want to ask your opinion on just one thing real quick while you get the first news story. Just here's a random game, right? The Force Awakens got $247 million in its opening weekend domestically, the biggest domestic opening weekend of all time. Do you think Rogue One will go 170 million, over or under?
That depends. I think as of right now, under. I think it's going to get about 165, if that. But right now, because it really depends on the quality of the film. You know, a film like Deadpool, the reason it hit like 130 opening weekends because people went back and saw it again that same weekend. Same thing with something like Avengers or Star Wars. So if the movie's great, then yes. Because if Batman Superman would have been great, it would have hit like 220, I guarantee you. But it wasn't, so it only hit like 160 something. So it depends on how good the movie is.
I think it'll get over just based off the first week hype. You know, the first weekend sort of box office. Because I reckon that'll just be so strong, regardless of quality. And most people are happy with Force Awakens, that it should be fine. I reckon, just based off that.
Yeah. I think if it sucks,
sure.
it'll be the second week where it really hits, where it gets knocked down.
Well, I think where movies are able to get that $200 million push, like your Jurassic World, your Avengers, you know, your not Civil War. Civil War didn't even hit 200 million. It's where you get that the repeat viewings of that during that same weekend. It's the people that go to see the movie. It's like, oh, I got to see that again, and then they see it again the next day. You know what I'm saying? So I think it does. I think hitting 170 isn't going to be that hard. Bandit might be right there, but in terms of it getting to 200 billion, that's going to depend on how great the movie is.
$200 billion.
Why make a billion if we can make a million?
A billion is more than a million, you numbnuts. Okay, zip it.
Zip it, Scotty. Zip, Scotty, don't. Scotty, don't. Scotty.
Okay, so I got news here. How Jurassic World 2, yes, they are making Jurassic World 2, will be like
Jurassic
Empire
Warfare.
Strikes Back. The director here says it will be darker and scarier than the previous film. Obviously, when you have Chris Pratt, it will also be very funny, but it will be darker. It is the second step in the trilogy, and the second step is always dark, as in The Empire Strikes Back or Wrath of Khan. In case you can't tell, it's going to be darker. There are things that will happen that people will not be expecting and are really shocking. And I'm sure he then also said it's going to be dark again. Is Jurassic Park really supposed to be dark? It's not.
Because The Lost World was such a dark film, you know, because The Lost World was so dark.
Well, it was literally dark.
Yeah, most of it took place at night.
That's what they mean. It would just take place like on the moon or something. Like it's literally really dark in space.
I'm not. To answer your question, man, I'm not entirely sure if Jurassic Park is supposed to be a dark franchise. I'm okay with it taking it into a darker direction, because you could say the same thing about Star Wars. It's like, is Star Wars supposed to be that dark? But people always call Empire the dark film. But I will say this: if you go back and watch Empire, it's not a dark movie. It just doesn't have a happy ending. But at the same time, it has a hopeful ending. You know, a dark film is Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman has a happy ending, but it's still a dark movie. You know what I'm saying? Empire Strikes Back isn't a film. It's an optimistic one. It just has a kind of sad ending.
I think a lot of filmmakers learned the wrong lesson from Empire Strikes Back, where they're like, "Ooh, you leave things unanswered." Well, no, that's not it. It's based off having good characters and the story taking unexpected turns and doing a reveal right. That's what it is.
Empire still has
like,
Empire still has a
lesson is
definitive
everyone
ending.
has to be related in some way. James Bond, I am Blofeld, I am your brother. Woo! No, they've learned the wrong lesson.
Empire still has a definitive ending. Empire kind of ends after that Vader and Luke fight. You know, everyone kind of gets away in the end. The cliffhanger is essentially the opening to the third film, but it's whatever. It's
What's the name of the Velociraptor in Jurassic World? Blue, the one that Chris Pratt really liked. Yeah. If you're going to copy anything from Empire Strikes Back, you need a scene where Chris Pratt is running through the forest and Blue is on his back, and like Blue is training Chris Pratt in the ways of the dinosaur. If you're going to copy anything from that film, it's that image.
Yeah.
Are they going to introduce another innocent character just trying to do her job and then kill her off again in one of the best scenes of that film? That was the babysitter of this first one. It was a good scene, but I'm like, she didn't deserve that. And like, Bryce Dallas Howard deserves that more than she did. Whatever. Movie's trash.
Yeah, but it's just a good buzzword. It's like, oh, it's going to be like this movie that everybody loves, and it's going to be like, it's just trying to get hype. I don't really believe that they're going to go for a significantly darker tone, because it's dinosaurs. That one of them was literally called the I-Rex in the last installment. I have some perspective, folks. But I'm still thinking that this is going to be Jurassic Warfare, and you're going to get velociraptors with like machine guns on their backs and being controlled.
The director did say he put that in specifically for the sequels, but that was the part of this movie that people liked the least. So I don't know what he's going to do.
A lot of backtracking.
I think actually this might actually seeing how A Monster Calls does, because the director of that film, J.A. Boynia, something like that, something with a B. He's doing the sequel to Jurassic World.
It's got a B in it, whatever.
Yeah, it's got a B.
It's got a B.
I'll know his name after I say A Monster Calls, but that director actually is doing the Jurassic World sequel. So depending on whether or not the Universal lets him make an actually good movie, as opposed to making some kind of studio-built nostalgic fanfare in the franchise I wasn't really not nostalgic with, we'll see how good the sequel actually is.
You know what they should do? They should either make it that Chris Pratt is like riding a T-Rex in this one, and it could be like dino battles where people are riding dinosaurs.
Dino riders.
You could get that, or you could get like that giant walking mechanized thing from like RoboCop and have that fight a dinosaur. That'd be cool.
Ed 209 versus a raptor.
Robots.
Ed 209.
Ed 209 versus a raptor.
Is this too much to ask? Have we finally asked for too much as a moviegoer?
I don't care. I want to see it.
Does Universal? Who owns Godzilla? Is it Universal?
I think it is.
Is it
Legendary oh no, it's Warner Brothers, isn't it?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because we can just have Godzilla show up in the Jurassic World sequel. I'm down for that.
Yeah, well,
I'll pay money to see Godzilla,
that. So that's good.
Yeah, right. And then the third one is they both get sucked into the world of Jurassic Park. Yeah. There you go. Listen, I'll be honest, I really don't care about the Jurassic World sequel. I didn't care about the first one, and I still didn't like it. So yeah,
I like the first one, but it's not one it's not a world I'm eager to revisit. It didn't leave much of an impact with me, although I did enjoy it.
Yeah. I really feel like I feel like if Guardians of the Galaxy hadn't come out, that movie wouldn't have made as much money because of the whole Chris Pratt thing. But whatever.
And what we got next?
Oh yeah, what's next, Bandit?
Okay. Here's the story that I just had to include. Will Thor's roommate Daryl ever interact with other Avengers?
Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say yes.
Okay, the story says, over the years, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become known for its widespread use of humor to offset action. Plenty of comic relief characters have been introduced, from Happy Hogan to Darcy Lewis, but none have made quite as much of an impact on audiences as Thor's extremely average new roommate, Daryl. The awesome character premiered in a recent one-shot mockumentary to tease the events of Thor Ragnarok, but could he appear alongside other directors? Taika Waititi, I guess that's a director.
Taika Waititi.
Right. Would apparently love to see that happen. He specifically said, that would be a dream come true. I'd love to actually make a bunch of these. That'd be fantastic. I'd love it if this is like a recurring one-shot in between movies. Where we can always go back to Daryl in some way.
It's like Doctor Strange is walking down the street and then he's just like, and Daryl's just back behind him. Or like, Bruce Banner's talking with Daryl, and Daryl has to like clean up the Hulk's mess. Like he just hulks out, and Daryl just grabs a broom. It's like, oh, I got it, and it starts sweeping things up behind the Hulk. I was rewatching bits and pieces of What We Do in the Shadows last night, and that movie's so funny. What's his name? When Nick eats the fry or the chip, if you will, and it starts gushing blood. I'm over being a vampire. It's crap. Don't believe the hype.
So I've actually seen Taika Waititi's latest film, Hunt for the Wilder People. I'll talk about it in homework, but he's still got it. It's still, this guy needs to be making more movies every day.
Yeah, I love his sense of humor.
But these like one-shots, if they did do like Team Thor Part 2 or whatever, these mini adventures of Thor and Daryl, or Daryl and Tony Stark or whatever, these have got to be cheap to make. Like, comparatively speaking, you could put these on every DVD that Marvel release and you'd easily make your money back.
Yeah, I mean, all you gotta do is, you pay Rob Downey Jr. for a couple days of shooting, if that, and then just have it take place in like a room. Yeah, well,
he worked on Chef for free. He worked on Chef.
Well, that's because him and Favreau are buddies. But
he seems approachable.
He seems approachable. He does sound like a really cool dude. Yeah.
Just more Daryl. We can never get enough of Daryl.
Hashtag more Daryl.
Hashtag more Daryl. Let's get that trending.
Flatmate Daryl. So much. I love how he's become like the Ken Boone of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of just like, I don't know, where this mundane and average guy just become just this huge phenomenon that everyone just loves from that short. All right,
Daryl,
what else we got?
All of us.
Daryl is all of, yeah, essentially, yeah. What do you got next, Banda?
Sure, I just got one more, which is Wolverine storyboards for. Is it called Logan or The Wolverine or just Wolverine? Or?
Logan.
It's called Logan now. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I thought it was just called The Wolverine. I guess they changed it to Logan because there's The Batman coming out. All right, but
because the last one was called The Wolverine.
Wasn't it just called Wolverine? Oh no, it was called The Wolverine.
The Wolverine. Yeah. Very important.
Okay. All right, but anyway, the point is, storyboards for this movie show that Wolverine is going to be going full berserker rage, which is something that we haven't seen Wolverine do properly because it's an important part of his character. It's kind of like his version of when Bruce Banner hulks out, like when Logan goes into his berserker rage, he's like totally out of control, and like even Jean Grey can't like contact him with telepathy when he goes into that kind of rage because he's just like it's his totally animalistic side. And it's like, it's kind of surprising that we haven't really seen that element brought into it yet. He's always kind of been Mr. Rage Monster, but he's never gone full berserker. But finally, in the next one, he will, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's... Go ahead, Trilbee.
Yeah, but this is like the third or fourth time I've heard this story in the past decade. Like, on X-Men Origins, Wolverine will get full Berserker mode. Or in the Wolverine, this time we'll get Berserker mode. It's only on the DVD, which is the extended unrated edition, that we get that. Because there's a whole fight scene where he fights an entire group of, like, 40 ninjas. And it's all bloody and gory, and it's awesome.
But it's down by arrows.
To be fair,
arrows on cords in his back when it's like, oh no, Wolverine, if only you had some weapons that could cut through anything. Yeah, your claws. Just reach around behind you and just chop them. Ugh.
I forget that I have those. But yeah, if you're going to watch the Wolverine, the unrated cut is the way to go. But I've been hearing this story for like a decade, and will we actually get it? Well, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
This is the last chance, isn't it?
Yep.
No, well, they say it's his last one, but they've been saying it's going to be his last one for, like Trilbee said, for a few years now. Remember when it was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to be in Apocalypse because I'm done. I'm done being Wolverine after Apocalypse. Like, oh, actually, I've heard multiple times that this is going to be Wolverine's last hurrah because Hugh Jackman's tired of working out so much. I say Logan comes out and the movie makes a lot of money and Hugh Jackman's done, and then give it a couple of years and then we're gonna hear rumblings and Hugh Jackman's gonna make a cameo in another X-Men film or some kind of X-Men property thing. We're gonna get some cameo from Hugh Jackman.
I actually do think this one is true. Because he's not getting any younger, even though he still looks fantastic, Hugh Jackman. I mean, for his age, he's pushing 50 now. I mean, so he better not keep. Yeah,
but so is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is 50 plus, and he's just now starting to show his age.
Yeah, but that's only because like Tom Cruise, whenever he gets injured, they kill him and just clone another one. But there's only one Hugh Jackman.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
It's a warehouse. They just make more of him.
I've heard that rumor.
I was watching Family Guy the other day. and Stewie befriends Tom Cruise because, like, you know, Stewie's like a baby, so he's like a foot and a half tall, if that. And like he befriends Tom Cruise, and they're like the same height, and it's just like this little like Smurf of a man, and, like this giant head and like shades, and it's just Tom Cruise. And every time he's gone, I'm just thinking about, but how does he feel about microwaves? Because apparently Tom Cruise has a thing for microwaves, according to Trilbee. Yes, being very specific.
Yeah,
but I think this time Hugh Jackman retiring might be legit, because if he does retire after this one, then that means he's available to campaign to try to be the next Bond. But apparently now Daniel Craig is like trying to suck up and be Bond again, and I'm like, no, go
I knew
away,
I knew
Bond.
it was gonna be a play. I knew it was gonna be a play from the beginning because that's exactly what they do. They're like, oh, like Sean Connery's like, oh no, I won't come back for another one. I can't do another one. And then they get a new guy, and it's like, oh fine, I'll come back for one more. You know, it's because like, and they pay him enough, but no. And I wouldn't want Hugh Jackman to be the next Bond. I don't
way
think
better than
I
Daniel
don't.
Craig.
A lot of people will be better than Daniel Craig, Bandit. But that doesn't mean I
Throw a
want Hugh
dart out
Jackman.
the window, you'll hit someone better than Daniel Craig to be Bond.
But see, I believe Daniel
Hashtag
Craig
Toby
when
for
he
Band.
says,
Toby for Bond. Hashtag Toby for Bond.
I will accept my British obligation with sincerity and with vigor.
I can
Only if
imagine
you do the
George
face-
as Bond.
only if you do the
Instead of
face
vodka
from,
martini, he'd be like, "Oh, I'll just have a tea." Thanks.
Yeah. But
Only A if you wear a Trilbee, and B if you do a face from you do that face from Christmas Detectives.
yeah, just the one where I just looks so befuddled and confused. Yeah, that's just my Bond face. That gets the pussy galore, doesn't it? But for Daniel Craig, I believe him when he says he hated being working on Bond, because there's stories of him working, because he's the villain in the Tintin motion capture movie, and apparently he refused to be photographed or filmed in the motion capture suit because he thought it was demeaning and embarrassing. So he feels like a guy who just hates the fact that he's successful and working. He'll never be happy with his lot in life.
Some people look good in that motion capture suit. I know people are saying that, like, oh, and no one looks good in that mo cap suit. I'm like, I don't know. Look at Andy Serkis. He's having a fun time in that thing.
I don't know.
Anyways.
I think Daniel Craig's good as an actor in general. I rewatched Defiance the other day. He's in that. I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. I just don't like him as Bond.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be fair, I feel like if you're not a fan of the last 3 Bond films, I feel like you're not gonna like whoever's in that role anyways. Because I know how you feel about, you know, both Quantum of Solace through Spectre, about that trilogy of films following Casino Royale. So I feel like, you know, going back to the whole Hugh Jackman thing, I feel like he's a great actor, but I think he's older than Daniel Craig, I would presume, and I think that.
But
to cast him in the role.
Age doesn't matter with Bond, does it?
No. It kind of does. There's a lot of physicality that you need to do unless you handle a lot of stunt.
Roger Moore was like 70.
Exactly, and it looked awful trying to see the 70-year-old man trying to run around and woo these women. It was kind of creepy. It makes sense. And all the action stunts are just a bunch of stuntmen. I don't want to watch that in my Bond films.
But for Hugh Jackman,
it's a franchise that actors can go into when they get a bit older. It's like the acting retirement home franchise.
That's not true at all.
Well, I still think that Idris Elba would work as Bond regardless of his age, because he feels like he's the guy who could take and throw a punch. But for Hugh Jackman, he it's not just the fact that he is getting older. Like you said, Tom Cruise is in his 50s or early 50s, and he's found a new lease on life as an action star. But Hugh Jackman has been Wolverine for what, 16, 17 years?
It'll be
like, if I've been doing this podcast for 17 years, I'd want to get the hell out of there. But let alone being Wolverine. I love you.
You're not.
I love you guys.
You're not shooting an X-Men film once a week, Trilbee.
Feels like it. 52 times 17. That's 884 podcasts in 17 years.
Oh my! We'll give or take a couple of weeks, Trilbee. We take some breaks.
Okay, over 800 podcasts. But no, he's a very talented actor, even though he has proven with Eddie the Eagle and a few other things he cannot open a movie on his own. Like he's a movie star who can't open a movie, which is weird. But I'm sure he'll find some new franchise.
That's true. He doesn't Pan. Yeah. Well, how much did Les Mis open to? But then again, that's a proven property.
Les Mis is like it's a property and it's a massive ensemble cast as well.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway was in it as well. She was hot at the time. But yeah, that's that Wolverine story.
He's the villain in Chappie.
He wasn't the lead in Chappie. The lead in hit my mic.
He was the biggest star, though. He was the villain.
He was the biggest star in that movie.
Movie 43.
Oh.
Although he was the Easter Bunny in Rise of the Guardians, which was awesome. Real Steel was probably
Good movie. Good movie.
He headlined that, and that actually made a bit of money. I want to see Real Steel 2.
I do as well. I went to see it for my birthday like 5 years ago. Great movie. Anyways, we have one more news story here that I wrote down. The creators and producers of Wonder Woman have promised that the film will have a far more optimistic feel and tone to it, as opposed to its the predecessors of the DC EU. What do you guys think?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah,
I mean, of course
absolutely.
they're going to say that because they want people to go see it. But when did they finish filming? They've already finished, haven't they? They finished a while back.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah. I
It
think it's been.
it was pretty much already done long before they could ever course correct after Suicide Squad, which is the problem with them rushing out all these movies. So, yeah.
Well,
let's
reshoots.
Well, do you think in the editing room they've got like, you know, Instagram has different filters? Maybe they've got like a slightly lighter filter called Optimism.
The film doesn't look like it was shot that darkly though. The film looks like it was shot primarily in.
Man of Steel and Batman v Superman was shot with the dour depressing filter, and they just thought, well, fine, we'll turn that off. We'll put the Optimism filter on.
I call it the breakup filter. They shot it with the breakup filter on Instagram. Like a girl broke up with her boyfriend, so they're supposed to picture him like, oh, I'm having a bad day. Wonder Woman was shot with the sunrise filter. Like, you know, look, take a picture of this beautiful sunrise.
It's like, yeah, the editing room is like that robot in Interstellar. Increase humor to 20% and optimism to 30%. Confirmed.
That's
Edit out Gal Gadot's performance here, Leia. Let's overdub some other actors. Why did they pull Gina Carano and just overdub her voice? But whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, that makes far more sense to me, I think. Because when they did the movie Haywire with Gina Carano, they had another actress overdub her voice because Gina Carano can't act. But whatever. And Bandit, you weren't here last week. Yeah, like you weren't here last week, Bandit, but you saw the Justice League behind the scenes stuff, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think they're really trying to give this whole impression of, oh, hey, look, guys, see, yeah, well, we're having fun, you know, yeah, like, I don't care about what's behind the scenes, because you did the same thing for, like, you know, the tone leading up to Batman and Superman was, look how awesome this is going to be, look how intense and action-packed this is going to be, and now you're saying, look how look how much fun we're going to have. I'm like, I don't... Just show me a good movie.
Well, even just before, when I was looking for the news stories, there's one of like, oh, they've wrapped filming on Justice League. Here's a picture of Ben Affleck and Matt Damon drinking to celebrate. I was like, no, I'll just pick something else. I didn't bother getting it.
Yeah, because it's not like they're going to show the sad Affleck meme.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we finished rapping, I'm going to drown my sorrows.
He looked awful in that picture. I still have that picture, by the way.
What, sad Affleck?
Yeah, I saw that sad Affleck picture on my phone.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's funny though, because Ben Affleck, he's got a movie coming out calling The Accountant, where he's...
It's doing awful, apparently. It's not very good.
But Michael Fassbender has a movie coming out called The Counselor, where he's a lawyer. So
that came out 2-3 years ago, Bandit. I don't know what you're on about.
The Counselor is in the Ridley Scott movie?
Yeah, The Counselor came out 3 years ago, Bandit, with Cameron Diaz.
That didn't have Michael Fassbender in it, did it?
Yes, it did. He was the counselor.
Was he?
Yeah, it was him. It was Javier Bardem, Cameron Diaz.
You are absolutely... Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, dude.
Bandit, you're 3 years behind.
Was it?
Yeah, buddy, catch up. Absolutely.
Huh, it must have been that important.
Ridley Scott, written by Cormac McCarthy, the guy that wrote the novels for The Road.
I stumbled across the trailer the other day. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
looks like I can go watch
pretty
that.
good,
Great.
doesn't it? Looks pretty good.
The movie's terrible.
Yeah, no, it's trash. Yeah, we all thought the same thing 3 years ago. It was like, oh, this doesn't look half bad, and then we all saw it. Cameron Diaz humps a windshield. That was pretty intense.
She does, and there's literally like 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes of Javier Bardem just pontificating about absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
just literally rambling and just going off script for 10 minutes, and then
it's
they
that
thought,
feeling
no,
you get when
it's that
feeling you get when you read an old timey book. You're like, man, this is going on for a long time and nothing's happening.
Wow.
But it feels like something important is trying to happen. That's exactly what it feels like.
Well,
trash film.
Javier Bardem, isn't he going to be the villain in the next Pirates of the Caribbean too?
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and that
trailer.
That never came.
What do you guys think? Because I sort of saw the trailer, and my subscription was like, meh, I didn't bother clicking on it.
You didn't watch it?
Nah.
You didn't watch it?
You've not missed much.
Yeah.
It's a teaser. It's a teaser for a Pirates movie without Johnny Depp.
It's a CG villain from Jack Sparrow's past after Jack Sparrow. Shocker. We've seen that in literally every other Pirates movie. So, there you go. Anyways.
So, but
that's a lot of swashbuckling. I'm sure there will be.
But speaking of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Speaking of, there was one other story this week that kind of took me up by surprise. Have you heard of Professor William Moulton Marston?
No.
He is the inventor of Wonder Woman. He created Wonder Woman in 1941 with his two wives.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
I've heard about this, but go on, yeah.
Okay, right. I'm not making a word of this up. Right, so Professor Marsden was a psychologist in the early 20th century, and he spent literally 2 decades of his life within female sororities, studying them and detailing all of their actions and everything to do some research. And he came to the conclusion that women, were it not for the fact that they'd have to give birth and had been relegated to domestic chores, would one day overthrow the earth. Women would become the superior gender. And what happened is he had a polyamorous relationship with his wife Elizabeth and one of his former students Olive, and they invented the polygraph lie detector, and they also created Wonder Woman because they were massive comic book fans. And they're going to be making a movie based off of this polyamorous relationship called Professor Marsden and the Wonder Women, which is an awesome title.
Yeah.
They started filming this past week. And we've got Luke Evans as the professor, and we've got Rebecca Hall as his first wife, and Bella Heathcote as the second wife.
I'm in.
So, yeah, they started filming this week. We've got Angela Robinson directing. She wrote episodes of True Blood. She's directed some Charlie's Angels episodes. And she also did the short film Debs, which is all about LGBT relationships and things like that. So, this isn't something that they've just... that they've just got on track. They've actually started filming. Production is underway right now. So it's an interesting story because it's not so often that you find a creator whose ideas and philosophies so imbue the characters that they create, like Wonder Woman, superior Amazonian race, and the lie detector, the lasso of truth, etc. But this would be a really interesting film, I think. It's like set in the early 20th century. This is like really radical ideas.
What I heard is because obviously in that time period having 2 wives was not something you publicize. So I think what I heard was like, so he'd pretend like his second wife, he's like, oh no, that's our live-in nanny. You know, she just helps raise the kids and all this sort of stuff. But then he's coming into work with Wonder Woman. Everyone's like, you know, Wonder Woman looks a lot like your nanny. You know, that your nanny always wears bracelets and this Wonder Woman wears bracelets. Your nanny's very tall, athletic, has the dark hair. You having an affair? What's going on?
What Marsden did was that when he designed Wonder Woman, he took the appearance of Olive and the personality of Elizabeth, and that is the character of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane.
I heard about this news through Twitter.
He's like the Charlie Sheen of his time. He's got 2 women. That's awesome.
I wouldn't go that far.
Maybe on that one count. But I saw this.
I was just saying he's doing
Twitter.
the W's. Win.
I first heard about this news on Twitter through Empire magazine, and they had a picture with the article, and on the left is Rebecca Hall, in the middle is Luke Evans, and on the right is Bella Heathcote, and I just thought that is one beautiful sandwich. Like all 3 of those, that's a beautiful cast. Luke Evans is a good-looking guy.
Yes, he is.
But that's just my opinion. But yeah, I guess that's a really interesting story, and the cameras are rolling right now, so we'll probably see that within a year or 2.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that.
I'm in. I love Luke Evans. I think he's great in everything he's done so far. Even that Dracula movie that I actually really enjoy.
It had a bat fist in it.
Huh?
Bat fist. In Dracula.
Dude.
Also
Charles Bloody Tywin made a cameo. Tywin, it's a good movie. Anyways, that's
is that Wonder Woman biopic? Is that coming out before or after the Wonder Woman movie?
Probably
I would
after.
imagine after. Yeah, if it's filming now. Then
It'd be great if it came out before, because then it would colour everything in the movie.
Same weekend. Opening weekend. Same weekend came out. They come out in tandem. Yeah.
And there's also like because some of the powers of Wonder Woman also give you a window into like what happened in this guy's life behind closed doors, because early on they changed her powers later on with Wonder Woman. If her bracelets are like touching each other, she loses her powers. So like you could tie her up with her bracelets touching, just tie her hands, and then she'd like lose her power. So like there was a lot of kind of bondage stuff going on where she'd always get tied up and bound and all this sort of stuff. So you're like, I wonder what this guy was into behind closed doors. Bit of 50 Shades of Wonder Woman, I think.
The professor will see you now. Yeah.
Come here, my Wonder Women. Oh, gosh.
There's so many jokes I'm not gonna make right now.
Wouldn't it have been so perfect if they got William Shatner to play him? Because it's also like Chris Pine is the guy in Wonder Woman, and then they get William Shatner for Star Trek connection.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh, come here, Olive. I need to speak with you about something important.
This comic book.
All right, well, I think that's all the news.
Yeah, that's all the news. I think. Do we have any homework? Should we jump into future presentation?
We got loads. This is a clean-up
let's
episode too. So
I smell another lightning round.
Get to the homework.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment.
Your homework is to listen to some real music, get inspired.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Down with homework?
All right, this is the homework portion of the show, in which case we talk about the films that we were either assigned to see or just saw on our own. So I got to see a special sneak preview of Doctor Strange on Monday, right?
Boo! Boo!
Now, before Trilbee continues to boo me, I want to throw you off for a bit, Bandit. Now, before Trilbee continues to boo me, I didn't.
Boo earns.
I was saying boo earns.
I didn't get to see the full film. It was about 25 minutes. It was a special IMAX sneak preview event. I had to see about 25 minutes of the film. So it was a good chunk. But and I will say this: before that Rogue One trailer came out, in fact, probably after the Rogue One trailer came out, Doctor Strange is my most anticipated film of the fall after seeing this preview. It looks so goddamn good. It looks really awesome, and if you really, and I know I'm always the big advocate of seeing it in the giant cinematic experience, but please, if you have the chance, see it at the IMAX. They shot some of the footage in IMAX. It looks incredible. Benedict Cumberbatch looks great. His accent's a little, if not a little strange. Yeah, hey. But the humor's really great. The Tilda Swinton thing still kind of bugs me, but I'll just have to get over that. But overall, the movie just looks really trippy. No need to take drugs before the film. The movie will do it for you. The movie just looks really fantastic. I really cannot wait.
So it doesn't seem like a sort of a magical reskin of the first Iron Man movie?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
Good. That's what I was worried about.
And I think if you look at it story wise, you can see the similarities. Obviously, rich guy, after a bad accident has to learn a lesson about life. But that's such a broad storyline in general. The whole thing's kind of an It's a Wonderful Life thing, anyways. But so I think looking past that, and you can understand that Iron Man was about a guy having to make everything himself using his genius and using his powers. Stephen Strange is more of a he gets enthralled in this world. And that whole building flippy thing from Inception is only the surface of the trippy things that you have in this movie. But oh man, what a great scene that is. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. What about you guys? Yeah.
Well, is this in 3D IMAX, or did you just see it in conventional IMAX?
I think they probably have both options available. I saw it in 3D IMAX. But I'll tell you this, the 3D is incredible. I'm not the biggest poo-pooer of 3D, but I'll let you know when the 3D is bad. I think Marvel tends to have really good 3D nowadays. I really like the 3D in Ant-Man, and the 3D in this film looks really good. You can feel like the 3D, like it. Maybe don't sit super close and watch it in 3D because it's a pretty trippy film. A lot of things happening on the screen, but the 3D itself is truly great, especially when you get into the kind of dimensional things that happen in this film. Yeah.
All right. I'm hype. I see this in like 2 weeks, a week and a half, because this comes out in the UK before anywhere else. So suck it, nerds. I've been doing my October preview and then remembering that Doctor Strange is an October film here, which is awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What was that? Nerd. Anyways, what about you, Ben? Did you see anything?
Yes. Well, I did homework assignment that you guys gave me a few weeks ago. We mentioned it earlier in the show. What We Do in the Shadows, the film about the vampire share house in New Zealand. And it's fantastic. I loved it. Yes. I loved it so much.
Really funny. It's really good, man.
Oh man, it was good. And it's
Stu.
There was actually like a Daryl kind of character in that, wasn't there? There was Stu.
Yeah, Stu. Stu. Yeah.
You brought a human into our house, but Stu's alright. Yeah, Stu. We'll let that one slide.
Yeah. It's like when they kick Nick out, it's like Stu can stay.
And I realized that in What We Do in the Shadows, they did the Walk of Shame before Game of Thrones did. where they walk around him going, shame, shame.
I love that so much. Shame, shame, shame. Bad vampire, shame.
And I'm really looking forward to the sequel of Werewolves. Hey, werewolves, not swearwolves.
I love that so much.
You wear the tracky decks, you transform, your legs spread out, the pants don't split. You lost all those pants, guys. And then shows later on they're all just nude after they've transformed, except for that one guy with the tracky decks.
Oh man, when they have the reenactment after spoilers, when they have the spoilers reenactment after Stu gets bitten or whatever, and it's like they're like this reenactment they shot in like black and white. Oh man, it's a genuinely really like well done, really intelligent film in many sense. When he's in the coffin with his locket.
Yep. Oh god. Yeah. I was about to bring up that moment.
Puts on the silver locket, and he's like, it's like burning him. He's like, ha ha. He takes it off. He's like, that's about as long as I could usually wear that. So many great moments.
And like his girlfriend's like 98 years old. So like some people like call me, cradle snatcher. And why is this 98-year-old woman dating such an older guy? But I don't think it's a problem. I think that we're happy together. I think that's the best ever. God, that movie's so good.
I also liked the side character of those two cops who never seem to realize what's going on with the vampires, and then at the end after the werewolf attack, they're like, it's got to be a dog attack, I mean, it's been happening more frequently around here. And the guy's like, I got the bastard. And he brings in, it's just this cute dog. It's like, see, this is not good. This dog's going to have to be put down now. And the dog's like,
Shane, look at that paint right above the fuse box. Now see, I can get that checked out. Safety hazard.
Yeah,
it's like human bones on the floor.
I was very upset when Peter, spoiler alert, died.
Yeah,
that really sucked.
Peter was great. It was like, and it was Peter. We've been friends ever since. Peter's just sitting here, just nodding his head, his eyes felt like, He was so great.
Especially like one of my other favorite bits is when Vlad the poker, when he's by the window going, see me, see
back to the window.
me. Then he's like, yeah, she can't see me. She's looking at the TV.
See me. She knocks on the window. The guy looks over. See me.
Such a great movie.
Man.
I love it.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Do you guys know when the sequel's coming out?
No, I might go see that one in the theaters. If they release that, I might just go check that one out in the theaters. I was really.
There was a news story this past month saying that Watiti and the co-director, I forget his name, that they were planning to make a TV series based on the cops.
Great!
I can see this huge fantasy world based around these cops. I can totally picture that being a thing.
And this isn't something that's they're just talking about. It's like they've got the budget for it, and they're going to be doing 6 30-minute episodes for New Zealand TV.
Oh, that'd be
I'm
great.
down for that.
So you're going to get
they'd run across zombies and be like, yeah, there's this really bad infection going around of pink eye.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. He's really struggling.
Get some scabies going around. You got real bad mosquito bites. Yeah, it might be the Zika. We don't know yet.
Sounds like that'd be a cool sort of supernatural version of Hot Fuzz by the sounds of things.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what that would be like. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah,
Supernatural meets Hot Fuzz. That's exactly what that would be. Oh, and those guys would do good work behind it because clearly they know what kind of comedy they have. And I think their comedy works best is because it's a situation that doesn't inherently seem funny, and they really point out the true ridiculousness of the whole thing. Like the movie opens at 6 p.m. because it's he's like, please, yes. Dark night or darkness, because the sun's not out yet. The sun's gone away at 6 p.m. because they all get up at 6. And then the movie it takes so many things that wouldn't inherently seem ridiculous and give them ridiculous aspects, and it's really entertaining to watch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I especially like the friction between when Nick, before Nick becomes the vampire, they're the other guy who was born in the 16th century. He's the youngest one, the bad boy. But then when Nick's bitten, he's the young one, so they don't like each other. Because he's I was supposed to be the young one. I'm 160.
And by the young one, he's he's nearly 200 years old, but he's the young one.
Yeah.
But it's
Twilight. Shut up about Twilight.
He does that weird dancing.
Yes,
Yeah.
Twilight. That bit with the start, they're like, listen, all right, there's no excuse to have 5 years worth of bloody dishes, and you think, oh, they're just using the word bloody as an adjective, but no, you look over, and dishes are just covered with blood. It's just little puns like that. It's like 5 years worth of dishes, and then like he bites the girl's neck, and like the blood spurts over all over the couch. It just gets all over. It's like,
so I hit an artery.
Yep, that did not go as planned. Yes, just paper everywhere. Oh, that movie's so funny. What would you give it out of 10, Bandit?
Well, if I have to... Oh, gee.
Well, try to find a negative?
I can't think of... I'm trying to find a negative. I can't think of one, so I'd have to give it a 10, I reckon. It was great.
Right on.
And you can watch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really funny. It's a very funny flick, yeah. All right.
So
I've got another...
You got one, yeah, Trilbee?
I've got another Taika Waititi film. Because this is a Taika Waititi special, apparently. We've got Hunt for the Wilder People, which is his latest movie, set in New Zealand. We've got Ricky Baker, who's a young juvenile delinquent, who he sees himself as a big gangster, but he's sent to the middle of... he's sent to a place in New Zealand called the Bush, which is basically just like the outback. It is the wilderness, like miles upon miles of just forest. Yeah. He's sent there to live with this couple. And what happens is that the mother, who takes real good care of him and he really likes her, she passes away. And his dad, Uncle Hector, played by Sam Neill, who's brilliant in the film, he's not very happy to have Ricky there at all. So Ricky decides to run away. He runs into the bush. Heck follows him, but he breaks his leg. So they spend 2 months in the bush just while his leg heals. And during those 2 months, everyone thinks that Hector has abducted him, and that he's like some weird child molester. So they all go into the bush to try and find and arrest him. So there's a huge manhunt chase in the bush, and it takes place almost entirely in the forest, and it's a lot of fun. It's really inventive. It's really well done. Sam Neill and Julian Dennison, who plays Ricky, they work with each other so well. He's a great young talent, and he's a really big kid. But it's really funny because he loses no weight over the several months that they're in the wilderness, because surviving on nothing. And they've got this cop who's chasing after them called Paula, played by Rachel House, who is just so absurdly committed to finding this kid that it's one of the funniest performances I've seen all year. And there just it just all ends in this massive, insane car chase that is way too ambitious for its own good, but it works so well, and people are getting shot left, right, and centre because Ricky doesn't want to go without a fight because he thinks he'll be sent to juvie. It's just a really fun and really cleverly done, simple story of them just on the run in the forest, and it's one of the most successful movies in New Zealand history, if that amounts to anything either way. But yeah, it's a really great film. I'm going
to check that out. What was it called again? Where the Wilder People?
Hunt for the Wilder People. Because what happens is that, because they talk about how wildebeest would trek across the forest, and they think, oh, we're like them, we're the Wilder People. And there's a great scene where they find these guys who because there's a ransom on their heads, there's a bounty. So these guys come in to try and get them, and they find them and take their weapons and say, when they ask who does this, tell them it was the Wilder People. And they say, the Water People? The what? What? The Water People? And it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but the child welfare officer finds them. And he's like, I'm never going to stop. I'm relentless. I'm like the Terminator. No, I'm more like Terminator than you. No, I said it first, so I'm the Terminator. You're more like Sarah Connor before she could do chin-ups. It's really fun quote.
Chin-ups.
Yeah, it's in the trailer, and it's brilliant. And Taika Waititi's got a small role as because there's a funeral scene for his adopted mother, and it's just him rambling about nothing, just in church at this funeral that no one has attended. And you could tell he's probably just improvising all day on set. But it's just a really funny small role. But Sam Neill just runs away with the film as well as someone who everyone thinks he's the villain. Everyone thinks that he's touched Ricky. But he's like, no, I've not done anything. And he's just trying to run away as fast as possible. But it's just a really fun film. I really enjoyed it. Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I'll add that to the homework list.
Yes,
it's one of those... But like with that and What We Do in the Shadows, it just shows that Waititi's got a really offbeat sense of humor, but he's also got the directorial chops and the style to pull it off and make it memorable. So it's one of those films where you want to watch it before everyone else tells you to watch it.
Yeah.
So be ahead of the curve. Be that guy who says, "Oh, have you seen this film? Oh, it's really good. You should watch it." It's the same guy who's doing Thor.
Yeah. Don't let Thor Ragnarok come out and have it be like the best Marvel movie to date, and everyone say, "Oh, we should watch all those other movies." Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Be that guy.
Be that guy.
Be so ahead of the curve that you're actually behind it. Be that guy.
Yeah. And the guy's done some punch up work on the script for Moana as well. So guy's getting around.
Oh, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else you got there, Bandit?
Well, to go from 2 comedy films to a movie that's really not a comedy film at all, Birth of a Nation! Hooray!
Oh, that sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that sounds like the best thing ever.
No,
I'm excited to talk about it.
Now, here was my plan. My plan was to watch the original 1914 Ku Klux Klan Birth of a Nation movie, and then watch the one that's out in theaters now of the slave revolt of the black guys. But I didn't bother to see the slave revolt in cinemas, and based off the box office, no one else did either. So, so I've just watched the KKK one.
Wait a minute. Your homework for this? Hold on. Your homework for this week is the KKK propaganda film.
Yes.
Birth of a Nation.
Absolutely.
To be fair, Birth of a Nation is one of those films where you kind of have to see if you want to talk about film, because it is very influential despite its terrible politics.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say there's nothing weird about watching that one, because Trilbee, you said that people have to watch it in film school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
it's the movie industry's first ever blockbuster.
Yeah, it actually, it's very notable because it was the highest grossing film for a long time until Gone with the Wind overtook it. It was the first film that was like shown in the White House to the president, like the first film that was actually shown in the White House, and it did sort of pioneer a lot of different things in cinema and all that sort of stuff. That being said, a lot of blackface in this. A lot of blackface in this. And the actors, like the African-American actors that obviously weren't blackface, I don't think they really were totally honest with him about what kind of movie they were making. You know? But I gotta say though, it's like this movie, it was made back in the time when movies are like 3 hours long and they have an intermission in the middle. And that intermission in the middle, it's like 2 different movies. Because like the first half is it's just a retelling of the Civil War, you know, and you sort of follow characters from a family from the South, and then you follow like a family from the North, and they kind of interlock throughout it, and it's like sort of a retelling of the Civil War. It's got the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So all of that up until the first intermission, I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't know what the big deal is. This is just about the Civil War. It's got nothing.
I don't know what the big deal is.
It's got nothing about the KKK, and I'm like, this is just about the Civil War, and there's like some good battle scenes and all that. And I said, and even though it's like sort of favoring the story from the South, it's not vilifying the people in the North either. So I was like, I don't know what the big deal is. Then the second half starts, and wow, boy, does it change! Like all those quotes from the President Woodrow Wilson or whatever his name was, who saw it, like where he's like, "Oh, it's like seeing history brought to life." I thought, I wonder if he only saw the first half.
Yeah, can you imagine only seeing the first half of Birth of a Nation, not knowing there was a second half, then going to like work the next day and saying that KKK movie was actually really good?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I don't know what everyone's making a big deal about it.
You send out your black friends, see, like, no, I think you really get another perspective on what this whole Civil War thing was about, and then you send your black friends to watch it, and they just come back and punch you in the throat.
Yeah, but then the second half starts and oh my god. It just goes into this whole thing of like, well, the blacks are taking over now. Ooh. Oh, there's, and oh man. And yeah, so it's sort of like the blacks are taking over the political system, so they form the KKK to fight back and all this sort of stuff. And it's like got all these stupid scenes of like they're out there trying to vote, but like all the people in blackface and all that are like, no, you have to vote this way. So they're like, the idea is like they're like ruining the election, all this sort of stuff. And then it ends with like after the KKK take everything back, it shows like another election, and the blacks like show up to vote, but there's like all the KKK, they're on their horses in their gear, and they're just like, oh, okay, and they just walk off. So it's like, okay, so now they're rigging the election the other way. It's really not. But like that first half, I was like, yeah, it's all right. But the second half, you're just like, oh my god.
It's no exaggeration to say that Birth of a Nation portrays the KKK as the Avengers portrays the Avengers, and the blacks are the Chitauri.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, basically in modern terms, it's uncomfortable viewing.
yeah, it is. But anyway, yeah. So there's Birth of a Nation, but I haven't seen the ones in cinemas at the moment. Neither of you guys have seen the ones in cinemas?
It doesn't come out until January in the UK.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well,
yeah.
One's about the KKK, and one has a rape scandal going on behind it. So I'm not entirely sure I might see either. Oh, goodness gracious me. Okay, and so that is my cue. I actually have to go. I have to.
What a lovely way to finish.
Sorry, Trey.
Great way to leave you guys off. No, I just got the wrap up symbol from my familia. I have to start getting ready to head out.
Sure, no worries.
All right, guys.
All right, see you next week then.
You guys finish strong. The listener questions. Well, I think we should just answer the ones from that we posted for last week.
Right.
Oh yes, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that should be on the Facebook page if you guys want to find that.
Yeah, Bandit, I'll explain that later. Tom Hanks.
Okay.
All right. All right, guys. Let's see
you later.
Around.
All right.
Okay.
So,
do we just pick up?
Yeah.
Great. Now we hit that guy. Now let's talk about how great Birth of a Nation is.
Yeah, that's really. I'm going to go sign up. No.
It's interesting that you've brought that up because I forgot that I saw it for homework. I wasn't really going to mention it, but I saw 13th, which is the Netflix documentary from Ava DuVernay, who directed Selma. Mm-hmm. And it's a documentary about the 13th Amendment, and the 13th Amendment is basically the abolition of slavery, and it says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, wherever the party shall be duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction, which basically means you can no longer be a slave unless you're a criminal. And it's talking about how black and African Americans in America obviously have gone from being slaves to criminals, and how racism is almost built into the very bone marrow of American politics. It's very righteous and very persuasive, basically, and it's sort of it's a documentary for the Black Lives Matter generation. If you wanted a simple hook,
but it didn't do too well. So how is the? Because just in you saying that, I'm already like, I don't think that's what it meant. But anyway, go on. Please go on.
It's because it's a documentary. It's about over the past century about racism in America, and Birth of a Nation actually gets quite a bit of airtime in there as well, because there's the really, really uncomfortable, terrible scene in Birth of a Nation of the blackface man chasing this woman, and then she would rather throw herself off a cliff than be raped by a black man. They talk about that a lot. How there was, and how Birth of a Nation was responsible for the second resurgence of the KKK. How it was basically propaganda, and everything going through that to the Nixon administration, to the war on drugs, to Ronald Reagan, and to Bill Clinton, and how the war on drugs was basically just, let's get rid of all of the hippies and all of the African Americans who want civil rights, and how it's hard to summarize or do justice in just a couple of sentences on a podcast, but I recommend that you do check it out if you're one of those people who are like, but we've got Obama in the White House, racism is over, because there's a lot of people like that, believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm
it's one of those
people.
It's one of those
I'm sick
documentaries
of
you
hearing
should.
That race. I'm sick of it.
Fair enough, but I think you should give it the time of day.
Sure.
It's only like 90. It's like 90 minutes long. It's on Netflix, and it's very persuasive and very powerful stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
well, I think
it only came out this week on Netflix as well. It's pretty recent.
Well, just when you're reading the wording of the 13th Amendment, doesn't it say, like, I think the idea is it says, except in the case of someone being locked up in prison. That means for the deprivation of freedom. Because, I mean, obviously you commit a crime, you go to jail. They need to allow you to deprive someone of freedom in those circumstances.
Well, what happened was
it's more so that than it doesn't mean we're going to turn everyone into slaves.
But when slavery was abolished, all of these laborers on these farms and because slavery was the industrial backbone of America at the time, they relied on slaves, which meant, okay, all of these people are now free and are no longer slaves. What do we do? And what they would do is they would essentially arrest African American people for just the most petty of crimes, like loitering or just looking suspicious, and then they would use those prisoners to reignite the industrial industry. They would put them back on the farms. They put them back in laboring positions, and it's basically become a self-fulfilling prophecy over the past century, according to this very persuasive documentary. So,
you know what's interesting as well is there's a great YouTuber called Stefan Molyneux. He's a philosopher. And he talked about, in one of his videos, talked about the fall of Rome and like the history of Rome and all that. And he said, like, a lot of historians say, how come Rome didn't have an industrial revolution? Because they knew about the steam engine. They knew about like windmills, so they had all the pieces they could have done it. And basically the reason is because they had slavery, like in the Roman Empire. Because like the whole point of the industrial revolution is you build labor-saving devices. But if you got slaves doing manual labor, you don't have any need to create labor-saving devices. And likewise, after the end of slavery, there's the Industrial Revolution, and he said, like, if you were going to go back in time and like tell the old the South or the Confederacy or whatever, oh, don't worry, because we're going to get rid of all these slaves, but what's going to happen is within 20 years we're going to end up having these giant machines that just roll across the crops of the countryside that do the work of like hundreds and hundreds of people with just one person driving it. They'd be like, let's call for the men in the white coats. That's not possible.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting how, like, like slavery's been such a big thing throughout history, like the Muslim slave trade, mostly of white people, far bigger, went on far longer and far more extensive than anything that happened in America. And a lot of the, like, African slaves more went to, like, South America than actually went to North America and all this sort of stuff. But you guys in Britain, I think you guys were the first ones to abolish slavery, and then from there, the abolitionists went to America and did the same thing there, so... Yeah, it's a long history with slavery, but
but there's also a lot.
Still is a lot of slavery in Africa today, like particularly in West Africa. Child slavery's a huge problem. They reckon there's something like also in India. I think there's something like 30 million slaves still in India today. So it's still a massive problem. Yeah, not in the Western countries though. Even though everyone keeps blaming the West for slavery, even though it's not existing there anymore.
Well, what the documentary posits is that they've basically turned slavery is now mass incarceration in America, in that there are as many people in the prison system than there were slaves back in the 19th century, because there's this whole idea, it's not an idea, it's actually happening, in that there's so many private prison systems where you're incentivized to have as many people there as possible, because then they become a cheap workforce. Many items of clothing and many objects are created in factories in prisons, and in fact prison is a cottage industry in certain corners of America, and it is a crime system that whether or not you agree it's intentional, it does take advantage of mostly African Americans, because in the 70s and 80s with the war on drugs, many black families were torn apart because they lost father figures, they lost leader figures. Like that's why in the 70s and 80s there is no equivalent to Martin Luther King Jr. There is no Malcolm X figure in the 70s and 80s, because so many of those were split apart before they could even form. So you have these vulnerable communities being torn apart, and then they are thrown into a prison system that is actively encouraged to lock them up. Black men only make up 6.5% of Americans, but they make up for 40% of prisoners. And that imbalance is mainly what the documentary is trying to posit, how that has happened.
Does it mention the welfare state?
In what way?
Well, like welfare, if you're unemployed, you get benefits. Does it mention anything of that?
It may do. I wouldn't know without any specifics, though.
Sure, because that's basically the reason for all of it. Because like in pre to the welfare state in the 1960s, like in the 1950s, like in terms of like crime, there was no difference whatsoever between blacks and whites. They were pretty much exactly the same. A lot of black people getting into professions, and like becoming lawyers and things like that. And then in the 60s, they're like, let's bring in the welfare, unemployment benefits, especially single mother benefits. We'll say to young black women, here, break up with your boyfriend, we'll give you extra money. And then it's just a straight line, boom, all the way down. Because they're saying like the welfare system sort of incentivizes all of the wrong, all of the bad behaviors, and it encourages the breakup of the family. And it says like, that's why, like in the 50s and that, when the black family was still together, there was still a dad in the household. That's why there wasn't any problem. So, and
nothing like that is brought up in the documentary.
Yeah. See, again, Stefan Molyneux, he traced it all back. A lot of it goes back to all of that, which is why, why there's so many problems in the black community now.
But the documentary I personally believe is worth at least giving the time of day to, or at least listening to it, because what's going to happen is it's going to be nominated for Best Documentary at the Oscars. It'll probably win Best Original Song, and you'll be hearing a lot about it then. So bite the bullet and listen. And are you going to listen to it now? Are you going to listen to it when it's forced upon you in a couple of months' time? But that wasn't even meant to be my homework, which is why I've not really prepared much for it.
It probably does mention as well that I've heard that like if you're a local governor and you've got a prison in your state, like the prisoners there are counted as citizens in your state rather than wherever they came from. So if you've got a prison in your jurisdiction, then your population is sort of artificially increased, so you can request more money from the federal government. So
that's messed up.
Yeah, so it's kind of like if you're a small town, you kind of want to have
that can't
prison
go wrong.
Because then it could give you a reason to ask for more money from the government. So it's like, yes, lock up more people and put them all in my backyard. That's a good idea.
Anyway, let's talk about something more fun. I've got one more film.
Yes, please.
Yes, now that Trey's gone. Right.
Why does that always happen?
I don't know. It's Birth of a Nation. It's tearing us apart, Bandit.
Yeah.
But Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Have you seen this?
I've seen the trailers for it. Yeah.
Okay. It was basically Tim Burton's X-Men. Basically, Asa Butterfield plays a teenage nobody whose grandfather is killed and his corpse is found with his eyes missing. So he basically he goes on this adventure to because his grandfather used to tell stories about how during the 1940s, when he was a young teenager before he got drafted into the war, he would visit a children's home. Which was run by Miss Peregrine, and he was told that all the children here had special abilities. One of them was really strong, one of them was lighter than air and could float. And he's able to, Ace Butterfield's character is able to trace all of these stories back and all of this evidence to this small island in Wales, where he goes with his dad to visit because he convinces his therapist that, I need a pilgrimage, I need to get over the death of my granddad, so send me to Wales, please. So they go to Wales. And he finds this home for peculiar children, which is basically the Xavier School for the Gifted, except it's not. It's not a rip-off, I promise. And he goes into this thing called a time loop, where basically these kids here have been here since September 1943, and at the end of every day they reset the loop because a German bomb is about to destroy the home. And before the German bomb lands, Miss Peregrine presses a stopwatch, and then it goes back 24 hours and they relive the same day over and over again. And the children, they don't age. They've been this way for decades. And Samuel L. Jackson plays a bad peculiar who is trying to steal the eyeballs of all of these children. And it's surprisingly gory, and it's actually awesome. And during my screening, this kid got so scared he had to leave. So it's one of those films. And the kid was awesome because there was the trailer for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and at the end he went, yeah! And I was like, that kid's really cool. And then about an hour into the film, there's a gross out scene. You'll know it when you see it. Yeah. And then he had to leave. So it's not for young kids.
So it's not. Yeah, it's not really a movie for young kids.
No, I'd say if maybe 10 or 12 is the right age. But sure. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's one of those films. It's just over 2 hours long, and there's a lot of plot to explain. There's a lot of time travel shenanigans. There's a lot of setup before you actually get to the home for peculiar children. There's a lot of exposition, and as a result, you don't really believe many of the relationships. Like this kid, the main character, is meant to want to sacrifice his life for all these kids that he's literally only known for about 2 days, and you don't really understand how he has that instant connection. And there's a lot of time travel stuff in the third act, which means you have no idea what the actual stakes are. Because what happens is that if any of these people in the time loop leave to go to the present day, 2016, their age would catch up to them within hours, and then they'd just die. They'd become dust, basically. But what happens is that at the end, the climax of the film results in them hopping between different time zones in different places, and you have no idea of, wait, are you meant to be dying at any moment? Is there a ticking clock? What time period are we in now? I'm sure if there was a diagram in front of me or a proper plot synopsis in front of me, I would know that it made perfect sense. But in the moment when it's going by so quickly and the climax is in such a rush to get to it, it's too much information to follow in such a short span of time. Because there's one scene in a boat, and it's meant to be a scene where this guy establishes this romance with this other girl, as well as what they're about to do, and also what the stakes of the movie are. They've got all of this stuff in just maybe a 2-minute scene, and something's got to give. There's too much going on here. I'm sure the book worked fine, but here it's a bit convoluted. But I still had a lot of fun with it. It's really inventive. The powers are used to great effect. Even powers where you think, oh, you couldn't possibly use this for combat. They find a way to use it for combat, trust me. It gets really inventive. It's quite fun. And I think that this is probably one of the better Tim Burton films in recent years, although that's maybe not saying much.
Oh, it's a Tim Burton film. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, Tim Burton directed it. It feels like his least Tim Burton-y film for a while, but maybe that's good. It has some imagination, but it's restrained by Burton standards. Samuel L. Jackson is a really fun villain. He plays Mr. Barron.
Oh, he's in it.
Yeah, he's in it. He is basically, his role is just to eat all of the eyeballs of children. Ew. There's a scene where Judi Dench wields a crossbow. It's just as awesome as it sounds. The young cast are really good. I can imagine this movie getting a lot of awards recognition for maybe the makeup or the costume design or the production design, because it's a really inventive world, and the climax is really inventive. There's a great scene towards the end when they have to get this massive tanker, this massive boat that has sunk to the bottom of the ocean. They have to get it back up and running again, and it's one of the most awesome sequences I've seen all year. There's a lot of merit to the film. I just think this is one where you need an extended edition. Maybe you need another 15 or 20 minutes of just extra material to humanize the characters a bit more. Sure. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I do recommend it.
Okay,
and it's also good. It's one of the few Tim Burton mainstream blockbusters that isn't absolutely terrible, which feels fun to say. Feels good to say.
Sure. Is the let me ask you, because is the Groundhog Day element of the story like a big reveal in it?
No. Basically, okay. As soon as he meets the peculiar children, they're like, "Come on, get back into the time loop. Get in the time loop. We'll show you how the loop works. We'll show you all of this." Right, cool, there's a lot of exposition.
I found out that bit and I thought, oh, it's kind of spoiled it, but so that doesn't spoil it.
Oh no, the loop is basically how these kids are still in 1943, despite it being 2016, and sure. It's established that there's dozens upon dozens of these homes for special children across the world in their own different time loops. Like, for example, in Blackpool, they've got one in the early 21st century. In here, they've got one from 1943. Elsewhere in Spain, they've got one in the 1960s. There are loads of these across the world, and the time loop is how they stay safe and hidden from these evil peculiars who are out to eat their eyeballs. Mm. Wow. And there is a reason for why they eat the eyeballs, but maybe it's a spoiler. So,
all right, cool, sounds good.
But yeah, it's fun.
Well, I guess we should head on to feature presentation.
Hooray! Let's do it.
And now our feature presentation.
So, Deepwater Horizon and Netflix. Let's talk about it. What do you think of Deepwater Horizon?
You know what?
Spoiler alert, it blows up.
Oh, damn it. Oh,
no!
They kept that so hidden in the trailers.
I know, I was expecting it to just be a normal day on the oil rig and nothing goes wrong. Oh.
No, it turns out that this movie was set on April 19th, 2010, not April 20th. It's just a normal day. No, this film actually really exceeded my expectations because I saw the trailers. I thought it looked solid. I thought, okay, this looks like a pretty good disaster film. It's just basically, Mark Wahlberg is just a normal average Joe, and he's got his average Joe family, and then he goes, and then disaster strikes, and I was expecting that, but Deepwater Horizon really exceeded those expectations because I actually felt a real connection to Mark Wahlberg's character and his family and all of the average Joes who worked on the oil rig that day. And the fact that it was able to really put you at the epicenter of this thing, because you read on the news, this oil rig has exploded and there's a massive oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and you just read it on a newspaper and you don't quite appreciate how big this was, at least when you're involved in it, when you're in the eye of the storm, just how huge this explosion or how this blowout affected everything. Because one of the first big explosions of the film is just a big mud one, a big mud explosion, but it consumes the entire oil rig. And the way how that's portrayed, it really puts you in the center of this massive disaster, and it makes you really connect on a really visceral, personal level with the people involved in it. This isn't just, you're not a spectator to this event. You're right in there and you're involved. And I actually walked away quite affected by the film.
Yeah. And I think what surprised me is like, you see that on the news, and I remember seeing that on the news, and everyone's like, these evil corporations, they're so irresponsible, and these oil leak is killing all the fish and all this sort of stuff. And sure, that's there. But like, it also did a good job of showing like, from the corporate side of things, they're like, we're 43 days behind schedule. They're like, there's no way we can get back on schedule unless we cut some corners. And, we have done tests, and some of the tests have said it's okay. And, like, he's talked about, this thing with, like, the bladder effect, like pressure within the oil. And, like, how do you even know it's that or something else? So I was kind of like, there is some precedent for why they would keep going. And like even Mark Wahlberg's character, when he's talking to Kurt Russell, he's like, what do you think? He's like, he could be right. It could be that, the pressure. We do need to find out. So, I think it did a good job of like humanizing them as well. And like after the oil rig blows up, you see some of the corporate dudes are like, oh God, what have we done?
It's like it could have been so easy for John Malkovich to just walk into that control room with a cigar in one hand and a wad of money in the other, going, "We're behind schedule. We'll cut all the costs." It would have been so easy for them to do that. But this guy, while he was, like, hindsight, he was wrong to have done what he did, but he gets out the whiteboard, he explains that he knows his stuff, he knows what he's looking for. He literally gets out the whiteboard and draws diagrams.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, something went wrong, which they couldn't have predicted because they are relying on computer equipment to get the readings. They got wrong readings, and then everything just went to shit.
And it comes down to that moment on the phone, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a really good movie. I really liked it. I thought it was funny at the end where, you see Mark Wahlberg and his wife and all that is playing the family. And then they show a picture of the actual guys, and I was like, everyone's better looking when actors are playing.
Exactly.
I was like, I wonder if they made a movie about me, how much better looking I'd be.
Well, I actually got a question on Film Brits last week. Have you ever seen what Bandit looks like in real life? And I'm just thinking he probably looked like Kurt Russell from Tombstone, just a massive mustache, just a proper badass. That's probably what he looks like. But if they ever did a biopic on me,
General Zod and Doctor Who. There you go.
If they ever did a biopic on me, they'd get someone like David Tennant or someone ridiculously good looking.
Have you ever had anyone recognize you in real life?
A couple of times, yeah. Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Wow. What's it like? Is it weird?
It is weird because I'm at that stage where I'm not PewDiePie. I'm not going to walk into a public space and at least one person will notice me. It happens every couple of months, maybe only a couple of times a year. So when it does happen, I'm completely thrown by it. I'm like, how do you know? I just work in the TV. Oh, YouTube. Oh yeah, that's a thing I also do. It's a lot like that. Yeah, but you're right. When they show Mark Wahlberg, and then they just show the actual guy, who he's not an ugly guy, but you can tell they've Hollywooded it.
Yeah.
I think Mark Wahlberg is actually kind of the weak link here with the film. Like he's good in the film. He does what he's paid to do. He's Mark Wahlberg being Mark Wahlbergy. But I think maybe if they got someone who's less recognizable, and because Mark Wahlberg has a very distinct voice and very distinct delivery, you know it's him when you're watching him. He's not the type of guy who can disappear into a character. I think if you got a Kurt Russell type, but of course younger, to portray that real life guy, he might have been more relatable as a person, as opposed to here's Mark Wahlberg being a dad, here's Mark Wahlberg, the oil rig guy.
But Mark Wahlberg, he does have a quality where, even though he is a Hollywood dude, obviously, you can still sort of buy like, yeah, he's the regular dude. He's pretty cut, but he's still the regular dude. So basically, I thought he was all right, but I think Kurt Russell was kind of more. I like Kurt Russell more, but it's Kurt Russell. Of course, it's Kurt Russell. But,
Mark Wahlberg, when walking down the street, is maybe a 9 out of 10, but as soon as he's on the Hollywood red carpet, he's like a 6.
Yeah,
like he's normal for Hollywood.
That's
basically.
Right,
But I like Kurt Russell a lot in this film, actually, because he is a guy who is ridiculously talented and has done so many different roles, but he's still not a massive name. He's not someone who you can put on a poster and sell movie tickets, unlike Mark Wahlberg. But I liked most of the cast. I Dylan O'Brien as one of the guys who is at the mud area where they have to clear and put in all of the mud to equalize the pressure. He's one of the guys there, and they've got Gina Rodriguez as a sort of not very good mechanic who's in charge with moving the oil rig, because this movie actually did a really good job of explaining how the process works, because I didn't realize that an oil rig is actually just a massive ship. It's a massive boat that is moving, that does have to twist, that does have to go in different directions, and her character is in charge of that. It did a good job at informing and letting you know just how the process works, but not in a way that it stops the plot every 30 seconds to do it. In a very organic way. It's cleverly written in that regard.
And I didn't know that they actually do find, like, it's fossil fuels, they actually do find dinosaur bones in it. Because there's a story point where he wants to, for show and tell, where his daughter's like, I'm going to show off that, you're on the oil rig. And then turns out, this other dad brought like a pet from the zoo or something. So he's like, I gotta lift my game, So when he gets when one of the other oil rig guys is like, here's a dinosaur tooth, he's like, yes, I can look cool now.
Yeah.
Show and tell.
It was just some nice character moments like that, and because Mark Wahlberg's character on the oil rig, he's got a little sweet shop. And he gets annoyed at people who goes in and moves all of his stuff. Because it's at the end of the scene where he's like, did you go into my office? Did you move anything? No, I didn't touch anything. He goes in. It's like, they've moved all my stuff. And he's moving all of those boxes of sweets around. Yeah. It's just nice. It goes above and beyond in humanizing characters. And I think what really sold Deepwater Horizon to me as from a great movie to a pretty exceptional one was at the end. When it's hardly warfare. This isn't like them going and suffering like soldiers PTSD, but they're still messed up by it. This is something that will just haunt their nightmares for years to come. Even if they sleep at all, this is something that you don't just come through unscathed, even if you've not been injured, even if you've not been killed or burnt. And when you're in the center of the Deepwater Horizon, when literally everything is on fire, even the water is on fire. When you
it's like the closest thing to hell itself.
When you're running up a metal staircase, but it's metal, you're surrounded by fire, you can't touch the metal railing. Everything's going to burn you.
I like
everything's
that bit where he tries
to
open the door but then he burns his hands on the circular thing that you turn to open it. It was intense, man.
It was, and
that's the kind of thing that you would wake up in the middle of the night going, fire! Then you'd be like, that's all right.
Yeah, and then because these guys, they're not stupid. They're like average people, but they're capable. They know what they're doing, but they're not going to just be caught off guard by this and have no idea what to do next. There are protocols. They do know what to do next. It's just when everything is on fire, can you do it? It's one of those situations where it's, and I think the fact that this is coming so close to the disaster, this was 6.5 years ago. This is way within our lifetimes. Do you get the sense that maybe this is too soon? Because 11 people did die.
Was it only 11? I got the feeling it'd be way more than that.
See, I thought that as well, but at the end, the movie does actually list all 11 people who died, all 11 men, and shows photos of them.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So...
No, it didn't feel too soon.
It felt respectful.
Yeah. That's the key thing. It felt respectful, and I was going to say something else. I was going to say, oh yeah, I just kind of liked sort of the vibe about it of like, yeah, I'm the working class man. You know, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like that sort of energy. And like you said, also with the corporate dudes, it's like, would have been easy for them to just be in counting their money. But even like the guy who's kind of responsible for it, when the pump explodes, he's in there with the guys. Like, he gets drenched in oil too. Like, he wasn't like back in his office or something. So yeah, I think it was a really good movie, really good.
Yeah, I think like it's hard to make a movie about Deepwater Horizon and seem balanced, because you can just make a corporate BP oil is evil and it's terrible and we should always use solar power and stuff like that. But it is the type of cautionary tale about like capitalism is fine, capitalism can work, but this is, if anyone's going to get hurt by capitalism, these are the people who do get hurt by it.
Yeah.
Because they even say at the end how even though like 11 people died, nobody was indicted for manslaughter. They had the charges brought to them, but they were dropped. And they don't mention at the end of the movie that BP had to pay like hundreds of millions of dollars of reparation for all the damage they caused to the Gulf of Mexico, and it's like the biggest lawsuit ever in terms of the sheer dollar amount. But I was really impressed by the film, and I think this is going to sweep the sound categories at the Oscars, at least in terms of nominations, because you should see this on the biggest screen possible. Like, it's in IMAX, and I can imagine, and like you'll be in the theater, you'll be able to feel the heat. You'll have to take off your jacket, and it'll be that hot, and that loud and that powerful, and even just the mud coming through before you even get to the fire. This is dangerous stuff.
Yeah. And there's a good way they sort of explain it, where the kid at the beginning like has a can of soda and like whacks a straw in it, and then she pours honey in the straw to like block it all from coming out. But then the honey dissolves and it just goes. Psh! So it was really good, really simple way of understanding what's happening. But what score would you give it, like say out of 10?
Maybe an 8 or a 9. Because it really was like the last 10 minutes that would elevate it to a 9. When they did show that the impact that this has had on people. I think maybe you could have told the story for another 5 minutes, maybe gone a little bit further. And I think that Mark Wahlberg, as good as he is in this role, I think you needed maybe a slightly... an actor who does not have such a clear-cut on-screen persona. Maybe someone who is... Because I don't see... what's his name? Mike Williams on screen in Deepwater Horizon. I just see Mark Wahlberg, the everyday hero.
Yeah.
So that kind of, no disrespect to Mark Wahlberg, great guy from what I can tell. But
he did blind that Chinese man with a stick.
He apologized, so it's okay. That was just locker room talk. That was just. No, I meant to say great actor, not great guy. But who knows? He's whatever.
I do love that the internet's new favorite saying now is "grab freedom by the pussy." That's awesome.
Grab that oil by the pussy. I am looking forward to Peter Berg and Matt Wahlberg's next film, which is based off the Boston bombings. Now that seems like something that might be a bit too soon. Yeah. And that was only like 3 years ago, and they had a trailer for it the other day, and the trailer is, I shit you not, identical to the Deepwater Horizon trailer. It's put them side by side. They're identical trailers. It's just a different true story.
Yeah, that does feel too soon. It's like, hey, let's do one of the Orlando shooting.
And you know what's worse? They're making like 3 of these films. Like one of them's got Ben Affleck involved. There's another one with Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg, and there's a third one which I can't remember. But they're making like 3 films on the Boston bombings.
Ben Affleck's involved in that? Well, if he's involved, it's just going to be him in the screen going, "This has nothing to do with Islam. It's racist. Don't you dare say that. It's racist."
I have no idea where the precedent for that came from. But okay.
Because he's been on like Bill Maher
like
a few times, and whenever anyone brings up terrorism, he's always like, "Don't you dare say it's got anything to do with Islam." And they're like, "Well, I think it does have something to do." He's like, "No, you're racist." He's very, very verbal about you should never say anything.
The dude is Batman.
So it's weird that he's in a movie of the Boston bombing.
Well, he's a Boston kid, so.
Well, he is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what would you give the movie?
Politics, damn it.
Well, But what would you give the Deepwater Horizon movie?
I'd actually maybe give it more like a 7, just because towards the end I felt like just to sort of round it out, I would have liked it if they added towards the end sort of what lesson that has been learnt out of this to sort of prevent something like this from happening again, because it did a good job of showing like both sides. It wasn't just evil corporation like we said, but because of that, it's hard to sort of like, I'm watching it and I was like, well, what could they do differently that could stop something like this? Or maybe just at the text at the end, they've said they've put in new protocols to prevent this. Maybe a different way of blocking it if like the first layer of concrete gives out and the oil comes up. You know, just something like that would have been good. Because otherwise it just kind of felt like the movie was like, well, bad things happen. I was like,
that was a thing. That
okay.
Recently.
This is a bad thing that happened. It's like, it was. What do we learn? So for that reason, I'd say maybe just like a 7 out of 10, yeah.
Slight correction, it's not Ben Affleck in that Boston bombing, it's his brother Casey Affleck who's in the movie.
Well, there you go, that's okay then.
My mistake. The movie's going to be called Boston Strong, which is based off of the book of the same name.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my mistake.
Alright, cool.
No, but their last names are Affleck, they're basically the same guy.
Yeah, they were both in Good Will Hunting. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, exactly, they're both Batman. One can be Bruce Wayne, one can be Batman.
Does that mean we could say that Ben Affleck was in Interstellar? You know, we could say that now. They're interchangeable.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Totally. All right, so Netflix.
Oh, yes, Netflix. Before we get into this, I have to prepare a slight statement. Right. Okay, my legal team, which I have been asked to inform you does not consist of my extensive Funko Pop collection. I have to inform you that I, Trilbee, have done work for Netflix in the past in a freelance capacity as a member of the production crew. However, I have not worked on any of the shows that we'll be talking about, and I have not worked with any of the people involved in those shows. And my Captain America Funko Pop also suggests that I inform you that I have worked for numerous companies such as the BBC, Disney, Channel 4, and more, and I have had no qualms of talking crap about their projects in the past. Now that that's out the way, we can talk Netflix.
Sounds like you're a Netflix fanboy, man.
Well, it's like I said. Well, like I said before, the day after I saw Suicide Squad and I trashed it on Facebook, I received a check from Disney because I had done work for Disney. I've got to disclose this stuff. It's just covering my ass, really, in a good way.
So what?
Anyway,
you and Trey talked about this last week because that's the lost episode. So what was? So to catch me up, what was the feeling of like Trey and yourself sort of last week would say? I don't know, which one should we start with? Stranger Things or Luke Cage?
Yeah, we started with Stranger Things last week, so let's not break a good record.
Sure.
Stranger Things. We both really enjoyed it because I marathoned Stranger Things. I finished it. Because the week before we talked about episodes 1 to 4, and then last week we basically just talked about the series as a whole. We both really enjoyed it. We both thought that it was one of those shows where it doesn't really have anything to say about the 80s, but it was able to just get the aesthetics from, say, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, John Carpenter, and all of these different genres, and was able to just melt them into an amalgamation of the perfect 80s show. And how it felt like, even though it's a show maybe for teenagers and above, because there's a lot of gore and swearing and stuff, so maybe it's not really for kids, it's still able to cover like the 4 quadrants where it's accessible to everybody, because you've got the mother story, you've got the kids, you've got the teenage romance. It's able to be really, really broad, yet still hone in on the target demographic of kids who were either around in the 80s or remember being kids, even if they weren't born in the 80s. It's able to really tap into that childlike sense of awe and everything that you thought the universe could be in the 80s, and personify it and turn it into 8 episodes of awesomeness. I think that episodes 5 and 6 could have easily just been one episode, but apart from that, it was really well paced, as opposed to, say, Daredevil and Jessica Jones, which I love, could easily be 10 episodes.
Yeah, especially Luke Cage. You could have cut that bloody thing in half.
You could have cut that thing into half an hour.
Yes.
Because we talked about it before, but it just feels like Luke Cage spends 10 episodes where the main character is literally trying to get out of his own series.
Yes,
like, I'm not a hero. I just want to leave.
Does. But
yeah,
we'll talk about Luke Cage in a bit. But Stranger Things, I love Stranger Things, and yes, we'll go full spoilers. It's been long enough. Everyone's seen it at this point. So
everyone dies.
The world blows up at the end. But I think some of my favorite, like, I really like there's so many different bits they left open at the end, like what happens with they sort of wrap it up with the Dungeons and Dragons at the end. What about the Lost Knight? And I mean the sheriff guy, because he kind of sold out 11 at the end there in order to save what's his face. The other kid.
Well, we don't really know what he did because he got into a black cab, didn't he? And then he was so there are some loose threads.
He says, "I'll tell you where she is if you let me go in and save the kid." And they let him go in, and then they show up. So he did. He sold out 11 to save that other kid. So it'd be interesting to see. Like, he kind of like took a bit of a nasty turn, but at the end he did save what's her name. And what's her name? He coughs up a slug. And he definitely sees that he coughs up a slug, but he's not weirded out by it. So I was like, is he... What's going on there?
Yeah, is he able to go back and forth to the Upside Down even though the creature's dead? I was expecting maybe more of a climax.
The figurine that's representing him is a wizard.
Oh.
So that means he might go on to have some sort of 11 type powers in the future if he's a wizard. Yeah,
that would be cool.
And also, like in the Dungeons and Dragons, I love it at the end where he's like, they're like, "Oh, that seemed really short," and the guy's like, "It was 8 hours long," and it's like, "Well, that's Netflix. It was 8 episodes."
I didn't pick that up. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was like a commentary. It was 8 hours long, and they're like, "But what about the flowers in the cave?" And that's because, like, when they go in the Upside Down, you see all the eggs that are cracked open like Alien, and you're like, "What are all those things?" You know. So I'm sure we'll get into more of that. And like at the start of this episode with Dungeons and Dragons, they've got the Demogorgon is represented by that alien thing. And at the end, they're like, "The Thessal Hydra." So you're like, what's a Thessal Hydra going to be? But there's a lot of cool like setups and then twists and then sort of like double twists. Like at a bit, they go, the black kid's like, he's got the wrist rocket thing. And he's like, you're not going to kill the Demogorgon with a wrist rocket. He's like, "No, but I can shoot it in the eye." It doesn't have any eyes. So there was like a cool twist like that, because he doesn't. It doesn't have a face. So you can't shoot it in the eye. So he's just kind of shooting it at the end there, yeah. So anyway, I'm talking. So yeah, like, you got like a favourite bit from it? Or top
favorite?
Question?
I love El's awesome entrance at the end of episode 6 where he jumps off the cliff. Maybe that was kind of stupid. Yeah. Don't do that. It's like he knew he was going to be saved. But I thought her entrance was awesome. I loved Elle as a character. I think what's her name, Millie Bobby Brown. If she plays her cards right, she's gonna have a very awesome career.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite moments, it's just a tiny thing. I think it's in episode 7 when they've set up the deprivation tank in the school gym, and the kids are left alone. And Dustin is like, "I'm going to go see this chocolate pudding. I know that the bitch is hoarding it." And they just go and find chocolate pudding that's been hoarded in the school cafeteria. Like the world's going to shit around them, and they just want chocolate pudding.
Yeah.
It was just moments like that where it humanizes the characters a lot, and I loved all of the kids together, because while I wasn't in the first 4 episodes a big fan of the detective. Jim Hopper. I thought it was fine, but I guess whenever he came on screen, I was like, "No, get back to the kids, get back to this other subplot." Yeah. But I think he really came into his own in the second half, and I'm looking forward to what they do in series 2 with his character. I think maybe the climax was a little bit predictable. Like, you could have known maybe from episode 1 or 2 that Elle's going to be the one to kill the creature, and she's going to use her mind powers.
Well, some people have said that maybe the Demogorgon is kind of like sort of a manifestation of her powers kind of thing, like a yin-yang, like that's the evil side of her or something. I'm not sure if I buy that. I just kind of like the idea that it was just in the Upside Down, and it just when she touched it, kind of opened a doorway and it came in. I just like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to Series 2, which is going to be a really quick turnaround. Like, this time next year, we'll have seen, 9 more episodes.
Ooh.
Can't
wait.
Can't
wait.
No, that's quick. No, but I liked Winona Ryder a lot. I love the score. I love the whole feel of the program. There's the truck flip in episode 7. And as someone who has worked with Netflix, I was thinking, God, where did they get that money from? Because Netflix, there's not a lot of money in Netflix.
Really?
Where'd they get that? Well, at least in terms of the stuff I worked on.
Oh, okay.
But hey,
yeah.
But I was maybe they spent all of that money on Stranger Things. Who knows? But I think shows like Stranger Things and Orange Is the New Black are going to be like the big turning point for TV and entertainment, because the Duffer Brothers, they've come out of nowhere. They've hardly worked on anything before this, but they said that they went to different broadcasters and networks trying to sell them Stranger Things, and no one took it except for Netflix, and now it's become a massive hit. So maybe you'll see broadcasters and other and channels maybe take more risks on genre material like this, and I think that's a good thing for the industry because it keeps everyone on their toes.
Totally, yeah. And I mean, like, traditional TV is going to have to do something because less and less people are watching it. I think we mentioned before, like they say, people under the age of 20 hardly watch TV anymore. They watch YouTube, they watch Netflix, they surf the internet, they play video games. Very rarely do people under the age of 20 actually sit down and watch TV anymore. So it's not going to be that long until that age group is sort of the majority. So they're going to have to do something traditional TV. So I think everything should just become more like Netflix. Just move everything online.
Yeah, there's still a lot of money. There's still a lot of money in advertising, but they are still going to have to up their game in terms of what they're creating and serve those niches even harder. Like maybe creating shows that or appeal to masses of audiences aren't the way anymore. Maybe you've got to find a demographic, find a niche, and then serve that niche as hard as you can. And every so often you may get a broad hit like Stranger Things. But those are going to be a dime a dozen. Like, that's kind of lightning in a bottle, which makes me wonder whether or not the Duffer Brothers can do this again. Because if they've been working on Stranger Things for a while before it got picked up by Netflix, then they might have had a lot of time to work on Series 1. Whereas with Series 2, you've got a year to write and film it. Go.
Yeah,
that's not easy.
It might be a bit of like the Fawlty Towers sort of scenario. Because John Cleese, after he made the first season 1 of Fawlty Towers, he said, we really felt the pressure in Season 2 because when people look back on Season 1, they remember all of the high points and they imagine that as being the norm. So you've got to make that the norm in Season 2. And that's why he didn't make a Season 3, because he's like, there's no way we can top it again after that.
Yeah.
So,
and he's right.
It's going to be difficult, but I'm still really looking forward to it. But, I was going to say, there's something else I was going to say. Oh, yeah.
I think it's interesting. You go.
I was going to say, the bad guy with the white hair. Like, at the end, I was kind of like, I thought he deserved a more gory death than that. But then, in one of the video I saw online of, like, a YouTube video of the ending of Stranger Things Explained, like, when the camera pans across, like, all the newspaper clippings on the wall, one of them is sort of explaining what happened. And it says in that guy's still alive.
Oh. Okay.
So I thought, I guess that explains why they didn't give him a gory death. He could have survived. I mean, the Demogorgon just kind of like slammed him down. It didn't like put a fist through his head or something. So he could still be alive.
Yeah, definitely. And but I like in the same place where they've got all the newspaper clippings, they've got the story. They've got a newspaper clipping of Will, and it says "The Boy Who Came Back to Life." And that's actually a episode title for Series 2.
Yeah, totally.
So, that's my Stranger Things series explained. That's my contribution. But going back to Netflix,
Will's probably going to be the new L in the next one. Sorry, go on.
Well, I hope he gets more to do, because you've had all these kids going on really fun press tours and making names for themselves, and there's Will. Just trapped in the Upside Down.
I hid the entire season.
Yep. I promise I'm just as important and talented. Let me show you.
Yeah.
But speaking of Netflix as just a format, because what they're able to do that many other broadcasters can't is they've got all of the algorithms. They know when people start watching, stop watching, and what moments they get hooked into the series. And according to Netflix, the moment that people got addicted to Stranger Things was the end of episode 3 when Will's body gets dragged out of the lake. Apparently, that is the moment where people get hooked and keep watching.
Okay, interesting.
So what Netflix can do is they can use these algorithms to specifically tailor their content. They'll be like, okay, a lot of people liked this aspect of a show. They kept watching at this moment. They kept watching, so they can actually make content with that in mind. So they're in your head, Bandit. They're in your head. They know what you like.
That's great. I was going to mention a similar thing because I was going to say, like, that's the advantage that Netflix has over traditional TV. Because traditional TV has ratings, but ratings doesn't really tell you that much. Like, is someone just leaving the TV on while they're vacuuming the house, or are they actually sitting there and watching it? But, like, with Netflix, they know that. And also, like, Netflix, they also, like, pull... I think I mentioned this on the show before. They also pull data from, like, Pirate Bay as well, as an idea of, like, what kind of series they want to have. Because, like, apparently, like, in some European country somewhere, people were downloading a lot of Prison Break for some reason. So they realized, they're like, okay, so people in these countries want to watch Prison Break, not enough to buy the DVDs. So that's why they keep putting Prison Break on Netflix all the time. Because
I can't remember the name of the band, but there was a band that had like massive piracy rates where all of their albums and songs would get downloaded illegally. So they thought, okay, how can we combat this? What we'll do is that we'll go and find out where, in what state, in what city the most pirates are, and we'll go and do live tours there. And then they had sold out shows.
Wow.
Because everybody there was listening to their music illegally, but they paid to see them live.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a really clever idea. See, piracy's not always a bad thing. But
piracy can teach you stuff like that, apparently.
But yeah, also like on Netflix, like the show House of Cards, that was specifically made because they looked at the stuff that different people were clicking on Netflix, what kind of stuff they liked, and they said political dramas, like stuff with lots of sex and all that kind of stuff. And House of Cards was specifically made, including all those elements, because they knew people would like it, and they do. So, yeah, like, see, traditional TV can't do that. How can they even get that data? They don't know. So, yeah, they're really at a disadvantage. So, yeah, I think Netflix is going to be the way it's all got to be in the future.
And I think what's going to happen is that while TV companies won't die out, there'll be a lot more subscription-based services. Like, you'll pay £6 a month for the BBC, you'll pay £6 a month for Netflix, or whatever your currency is and stuff like that. I think that's going to be the way, where you'll be paying for YouTube, you'll pay for Amazon Instant, you'll pay for all of these different services, and you'll end up paying like maybe £30 or $30 or whatever your currency is a month for all of these programs. I think that's how it's going to go. Like just subscription-based services where they've got regular income but at small costs every time. I think that's the direction we're heading. I don't think the content so much will change. It will just be how people watch it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if TV can hang on to like being like that's where you go to watch like the football or whatever, like they can hang on with that. And it's like, I mean, they could have hung on to like this is the place where you go to news, but I mean, again, we're not going to get political, but just I'm not going to get into the details of the election. But in this election cycle, we've also seen like the disparity between like the mainstream media versus now the alternative media online. So it's also been a war between those two, and it's like almost like a polar opposite. Like everything you get on the mainstream media is all Hillary's great, and online it's all Trump, 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 Trump. So it's like in terms of TV, it's like they can preserve sport. They could have maybe preserved TV as like the medium for the media, but that's pretty much burned now. Most people go online to find stuff. So, yeah, I don't know what TV's going to do.
Yeah, well, you'll always have stuff like game shows and reality shows. There'll be stuff like that for TV. I imagine that reality or studio stuff will always have a home on TV because you don't really get game shows on Netflix or online, do you? At least, like, no
really.
big ones. Like I know that Screen Junkies has got like a movie fight show, Well, not movie fights. There's that thing like Jeremy Jahns hosts on Screen Junkies. But I don't know how big that is, and that's only like one thing. So I think TV is going to have particular niches, and as long as they can capitalize on those, then there'll still be TV. It just might not be as dominant as it is now.
Well, they do like a lot of like TV stations like here in Australia, and I'm assuming elsewhere as well. Like what they'll do is they'll show it on. They'll just have their TV on the TV, but then like a few days later they've got their channel's website. So if you missed it on TV, you can go to the website and watch it. So they'll probably start doing that more, I guess. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, but Stranger Things, I'm really looking forward to to seeing what happens.
Yeah, it was a really enjoyable show. I'm looking forward to seeing more as well. I just think that they've got to be quick because those kids aren't getting any younger, and even them doing the press tours, their voices are starting to break. Yeah. Their voices are changing, so you
could do like a Harry Potter thing where they age with the audience. That's fine, and just don't ask for retakes when they do that. So.
Don't ask for retakes. Yeah,
remember that period when you're growing up? That was awkward. Yeah, when your voice does that. Yeah. But I also liked like some of the sort of like story wise fake out and switches like. Where the older sister has that boyfriend, you're like, oh, he's going to be the jerk boyfriend character. And he kind of is for a while, but then he kind of shifts and he actually becomes kind of a good guy. And you're like, oh. Like there's moments like that where you think it's going to go this way, but then it goes the other way. And she still ends up with the boyfriend, not the brother photographer guy. That's it, like, set up. Like she's going to ditch the evil boyfriend and go with the photographer guy, but she doesn't. And I was like, oh wow, that's interesting.
Because at the end, she gives him the camera as a Christmas present, but the boyfriend knows about it. He's like, "Did you give him the camera?" It's like, "Yeah, I did." I was really surprised when they've got the Home Alone style traps in the house to get the creature, and then the boyfriend shows up, and you're thinking, God, he's going to ruin this whole thing, and there's going to be all sabotage. No, that doesn't happen. He joins in.
Yeah,
like he almost messes it up, but
he's got that understandable initial part of like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
he walks in and they've got axes and guns and everything around. He's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, but I was so worried that when he walked in and everything was going wrong, that I was thinking, God, no, Stranger Things, you're better than this. And then they proved me right. They did go in a different direction, and it was really good.
Yeah, totally. Well, should we talk about Luke Cage?
I don't wanna.
Me neither. Let's just get it out of the way.
See, I don't hate Luke Cage. No. I just think you didn't need 13 episodes for this, but it's
they could have done a Stranger Things, make it 8 episodes. Just cut the fat, tighten it up. But these Marvel shows are getting a little bit formulaic, aren't they? If I think with Iron Fist, when that comes along, I'm going to give it like maybe 5 episodes, and if I'm not hooked, I'm just not going to bother watching anymore after that. Because they're too predictable at this point. And I mentioned this in the only reason I watched past episode 5 of Luke Cage was because I had to, because I'd already started the review series. But I said in the review series, a problem with Luke Cage is like he's doing the whole I'm the reluctant hero, I'm not trying to be a hero, I'm not going to put on the superhero suit and all this stuff. And it's like, he was that way in Jessica Jones, and that's fine because he was a side character. But in this, I'm like, this is 13 episodes long, and we're up to like episode 9, and you're still like, I don't want to be a hero. I'm like, dude, get it together, okay? You're on a Netflix show. Yeah,
when you've got a character when you've got to follow a character for 13 hours who doesn't want to be there, it makes it a bit of a slog. And
it's fine for a few episodes, like Daredevil. Like, he's totally determined to be Daredevil, and that gives the story like a direction. But with Luke Cage, he's just kind of floating along, and even when like developments in the story happen where like the way that Cottonmouth gets brought down really has nothing to do with Luke Cage. It's because that corrupt cop decides to give him up, which would have happened even if Luke Cage wasn't there. So I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing?
Like in episode 4 or 5 when Misty Knight is like, she sees Luke Cage on the street, and she's like, "Oh well. If it isn't Luke Cage, the one person who is connected to literally every single crime scene and everything that's happening." And you're like, "Oh yeah, Netflix is not Netflix. Well, I mean, all right. Luke Cage has literally just stumbled upon the plot to his own show."
Yeah.
It's so because I like the cast for the most part, and I think what really held it together. We're going spoilers, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, what really held it together was Cottonmouth. But then there's the end of episode 7 when he's killed, and then the moment he died, whenever he was being hit by that microphone stand, I could literally just see the charisma of the show just leave. And then we get this really completely generic bad guy for the rest of the series. And even though I enjoyed Cottonmouth and his personality and what he brought to the series, he's basically just Kingpin. He's the same as Kingpin, except he's not as physically intimidating. And there's that scene where he's beating that guy to a pulp on the floor, and he gets all the bloody knuckles. And I just had major flashbacks to the scene in Daredevil where Kingpin is breaking that guy's face in the car door. Even though I enjoy the character, we've been here before.
Totally. And it's like, I actually kind of like Diamondback, maybe because it's like, I was sort of grudgingly watching it at that point. So when Diamondback shows up and he's just totally over the top and he's very sort of Jokerish, like I was enjoying it because I was like, something's actually happening. So maybe his performance wasn't as good. I was just glad that something was actually happening.
Oh yeah, because there are so many scenes in the first 6-7 episodes where Luke Cage meets up with Cottonmouth or a bad guy, and he's like, "I could take you down right now. But we've still got like 10 episodes left." He kind of felt like, and he felt like Diamondback was actually being more proactive as a bad guy to end the series.
Yeah.
But because there really is no end point in sight for the series, and what happens is that episode 7 and episode 8 have the exact same ending, where Diamondback shoots Luke Cage with the bullet and leaves him for dead.
Yeah.
The 2 episodes back to back end the exact same way. And it just comes across as really lazy.
Yeah, I think this Luke Cage, this show really sapped my enthusiasm for. I mean, I'm still enthusiastic to see the next Daredevil season 3 because Daredevil's always great. But yeah, Iron Fist. If they don't impress me pretty early, I'm not going to bother watching the whole thing because. This was a slog to get through.
I didn't hate Luke Cage I didn't hate it as much as Trey did. Trey was very, very angry at it, but I want to respect it because it's got a few ideas. Like there's the scene where after I think I'm not sure if he's been shot at this point by the bullet, and he comes across that he's wearing the grey hoodie, and he comes across those 2 police officers, and then he puts his hands up, and it's drawing like direct inspiration to like the whole racially charged cop shootings and everything recently. It's trying to be about something.
Yeah,
exactly. It's trying to be about something. Yeah. But the contexts are wildly different.
Yeah.
Wildly different. It's like, oh, here's a visual reminder of something that's topical, but in the show, it's got nothing to do with it.
It's only there for like 1 episode, really.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really affect that much.
Yeah, but there's so much like ideas-wise that you could do with a series about a guy like that in this situation, in this current climate, who is impervious to bullets. I think there's an idea there, but instead we just get Rosario Dawson saying, "Oh, I know a lawyer. I mean, I literally can't afford the train ticket to bring him over into this series, but I know a lawyer."
I know that annoyed me because she says that like 3 times. So about the 3rd time she says it, I'm like, yes, they're gonna show him, and no, they don't. And I was like, oh, come on! Why'd you mention it so much if you're not even gonna have him? Like, I would have liked it if the last scene is like he's in prison and like the guard like knocks on the door, is like, "Hey Cage, you got a visitor," and then like in walks, Daredevil as his lawyer, and like just cut credits end. Like that'd be fine. I would have been happy with that, but.
How many episodes does Luke Cage spend injured? Like from that bullet, maybe 3 or 4 episodes.
Oh, yeah, quite a few.
That's 3 or 4 episodes too long.
Episode crawling out of a collapsed building.
Yeah, actually, well, that one's not so bad because it was
the stuff in the prison was interesting.
Flashback.
Yeah, the prison stuff was interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, this felt like while I didn't hate it, you get, say, Series 1 of Daredevil, Series 1 of Jessica Jones, then spacebar, 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 Luke Cage. Like it's like I love Jessica Jones and Daredevil, and while I don't hate Luke Cage, the quality difference is like it's a huge margin. Yeah. Like this is a significant drop down in quality. Like I've not finished Daredevil Series 2 yet, but if you judge in just first series, I think Daredevil and Jessica Jones could have only been 10 episodes. Luke Cage could have been 6. It's so slow and it's so... It doesn't feel methodical. It just feels really sluggish. It feels like, okay, we're contractually obligated to do 13 episodes. We've only got material for, 5? Let's stretch this thing out. That's how it felt.
And I found that, like, I was always ahead of the show, and I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I just mean that in a totally common sense kind of way. Where, like, with Luke Cage, there's all this problem with Cottonmouth, and I'm like, why don't you just kick in the door and just beat everyone up? Like, seriously.
Like you are literally impervious to bullets.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's he going to do? He can't do anything. Just go in there and beat him up. And then it takes him like 4 episodes before he finally does it, and I'm like, well, you eventually got there, Luke Cage, but boy, did you take your time. But I was also thinking, like, I was like, you know, his whole thing is like, he doesn't want Cottonmouth to, like, run the neighborhood and all this. And I thought, I was like, you can go and beat him up, but then he knows he can't take you out, so he might just take it out on the people rather than you. So you could do like which is what happens eventually. So I thought you could do like a Green Hornet thing. You know how Green Hornet pretends to be a criminal so that it makes no sense to take it out on civilians if you think. So Luke Cage could just pretend like, I'm a one-man gang. They're paying protection to me now. But they're not really. I'm just saying they are so you won't go after them. Like, he could have done something like that. You know, but he didn't, so...
I miss Pops.
Yeah, Pops was great.
He dies 2 episodes in, and I just thought, oh god, I'm going to miss that guy. And I really did. I did miss him. It just feels like the series structurally was gearing up for that twist at the end of Series 7, but when that happened, it just... I don't know, like, it changed the dynamic of the series completely, but the fact that it had absolutely nothing to do with Luke Cage and his agency was, like, non-existent.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I said earlier, it just feels like Luke Cage spends 10 episodes trying to get out of his own series, and when you've got to follow a guy like that for 13 episodes... Like, Mike Coulter, he's got personality to spare. In Jessica Jones, he was a lot of fun, and he's also good in like other shows I've seen him. And he's like, let him work. Just don't let him be in a grey hoodie, just moping around for 13 hours.
Yeah, but it was funny though, because like Luke Cage, because he's a character where he doesn't care that much about doing anything, and he's sort of like gradual. I think in the very last episode, he's finally like, now I'm gonna be a hero. It's like, okay, great. But it's sort of like he was reverse engineering why Daredevil does other stuff. Like, I remember probably around episode 9 or something. No, it was... Yeah. I think around about then. It's like someone's like, why don't you wear a mask? He's like, oh, it's too late now. And it's like after the place where he lived had been blown up. And it's like, yeah, that's why Daredevil and everyone else wears a mask. Because if you don't... they're going to come and kill your family.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he wears the hoodie, but your face is still very visible.
I did kind of like the callback to his old Power Man costume. Where he breaks out of prison. Yeah. He's got the metal bar on his around his head, and he's got the yellow suit. Yeah. I thought that was actually one of the more clever callbacks.
You look like a damn fool.
Yeah. I think it's like Luke Cage has got a really interesting vibe. Like, it's an almost entirely black cast, and I think it's got a really unique aesthetic and feel to it. Like, even from the theme song, it feels unique and different. I guess wish that it was channeling towards something more interesting and more engaging. Like, it was interesting when I was watching this, and my girlfriend was like, "What are you watching?" I said, "Luke Cage." And I explained it was a Marvel character, and she asked, "Okay, so what's Luke Cage's deal?" And then I just had to really find a really quick way to explain what blaxploitation was, and that wasn't easy. So I just showed her a trailer.
Shaft. That's pretty much what he is. Yeah,
I just showed her a trailer for the movie Black Dynamite, which is awesome. Have you seen Black Dynamite?
No.
He's so cool and he knows kung fu. Yeah, it's a black exploitation film from like 2009, 2010,
Yeah.
and it's just like the perfect recreation of it. It's so good. Like just watch the trailer to Black Dynamite, listeners. It's something else. You won't forget it.
But I got to say though, because we're building towards the Defenders, which if anyone doesn't know, Defenders is like the street level Avengers. So it looks like the Netflix lineup of Defenders will be a little bit different than the comic books, but that has Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, whose series is coming out soon, and I think for Netflix they're going to slot Punisher in as well, but Punisher isn't in the comic book. So, but I'm looking forward to that, Defenders. That'd be good.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because it's only going to be 10 episodes.
Yeah, but that'd be cool.
Maybe it's just 8 episodes.
Of everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got Sigourney Weaver apparently as the villain. That was news from the New York Comic Con last week.
Oh,
so
really?
Apparently Sigourney Weaver's going to be the villain.
In which one? Iron Fist?
Defenders.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome.
So I'm looking forward to that. And I think like there's so much being said about whether or not the Netflix characters will make their way to the MCU. I think it would be criminal if not. Because you've got terrific talent in front of the camera on these series. I think Charlie Cox is too good of an actor to not interact with Tony Stark. Like even if it's just like let's say Infinity War happens and they're out in space fighting, and then Thanos is like, "Okay, I'll send my army to Earth. Aha! I'll get them to destroy Avengers Tower or whatever. Or get them to destroy New York." And then the Defenders have to fight them off from Earth while the Avengers are in space. I think that would just be a good way to throw them in and involve them, even just for a couple of minutes. But I just feel like
if Hawkeye can be in the Avengers, surely like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage is more useful.
Oh yeah, I'd rather have Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil than I prefer him to Hawkeye on my team. I think Civil War would have been very different if he had Daredevil. Maybe.
That's right. But there's something else I was going to say. Keep forgetting.
Yeah, but I thought the series was. I thought the series was average. I thought it was a hell of a slog to get through, but it had a different feel that I don't know. I liked most of the actors in it. But even some of the bits I did like Cottonmouth just felt like a rip-off of the Kingpin and the Corrupt Cops and all of this stuff that we've literally seen before, like a year or two ago.
That's why I was surprised they didn't lean more heavily on the brother relationship between him and Diamondback, because I was like, that could have been something really cool and unique, and no, they just focused on Cottonmouth for half of it and then Diamondback for the second half. But this is what I was going to say before. You know what kind of annoyed me as well? There was no explanation as to why Luke Cage isn't together with Jessica Jones in this series. Because it's set after that, because he does mention, your last girlfriend shot you in the face with a shotgun, and because that happens when Kilgrave gets control of Luke Cage and she shoots him with a shotgun, and that sort of snaps him out of it. But there's no explanation as to why she's not around, or did they break up, or are they not together anymore, or what's going on, and I don't know. Did he move to get away from her, or I don't know. And that's why I found it sort of awkward when they had the whole romance with first that cop lady and then it shifts to the nurse, and I was like, well, none of this matters because we know he's going to end up with Jessica Jones again because they eventually have a kid together in the comics. So I don't know.
Nah, I feel like the series does end with like Diamondback in a big bionic suit and stuff like that. I kind of wish maybe they embraced that a bit earlier, because Misty Knight, the cop in the comics, she's got a bionic arm which was created by Tony Stark. Like she should have just had that from the beginning, although they might have thought it was maybe a bit too Winter Soldiery. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they thought, You know what else was weird? That interrogation scene where after that cop, there's a whole episode where it's just her in that interrogation room with that psychologist. And I suppose on its own, that was an interesting story, but it was just really weird and out of place. It felt like it was from a different show.
Yeah, that was something that should wind up on the cutting room floor, before the final cut of the series goes out. But then they thought, no, we've still got a whole episode of content to fill. Let's just put it in. This could have been something special if it was maybe 8 or 9 episodes, but in its current form, it just feels like a really big missed opportunity to me.
Yeah. What would you give it out of 10?
Probably just go straight down the middle. Just go for a 5. I even though I'm not a big fan of it, I can't really get worked up about it. Like, I'm not angry at Luke Cage. I'm so indifferent to it. And I feel like even though Daredevil and Jessica Jones, their first series were a bit overlong, I still felt really engaged and involved. And I felt about as engaged and involved as Luke Cage did. Like, just wanting to get out of there, just wanting the series to be over so I could talk about it.
Same here. Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, it could have been so much better, but who knows, Yeah,
because Trey gave it a 3 and a 4, and I think that's not good news when the most positive person on a podcast is just so indifferent to it. That's the most positive opinion on this.
Totally.
Yeah, but my anticipation for Iron Fist is now, like, if you don't hook me within 2 episodes, I'm done. I'm just going to wait for Defenders.
Well, like you said, with Stranger Things, they had 8 episodes, and episodes 3 was the hook point. So if they've got 13 for Iron Fist, 5 should be the hook point. So yeah, I'll give them to 5, and if they haven't hooked me, that's their problem.
yeah, that's fair, I think.
All right, list of questions.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay, everybody, this is the listener question portion of the show where myself, Bandit, and Trey take your listener questions on the Facebook page. You can follow us on the Movie Mania Podcast Facebook page and also on Twitter, but I'm not looking at Twitter right now, I'm looking on Facebook. Bandit has got very important duties, so he'll be back in just 1 or 2 minutes, so I shall start this one. Okay, Ben Haynes asks, what are some movies that are so bad they are good? You've got to go for the really terrible films like The Room, or maybe just the deliberately poor B movies like Sharknado or Shark Exorcist or Giant Shark versus Mega Octopus or Mega Octopus versus Giant Shark. I can never tell, but yeah, a lot of those movies involve sharks, don't they? So, but the go-to ones are easily The Room, the Tommy Wiseau, "You are tearing me apart, Lisa." That's really the definitive one. You've also got just some of the incredibly cheesy, terrible films from the 80s and 90s, like Suburban Commando, which had Hulk Hogan and Christopher Lloyd. What else have you got? Oh, and I'm told that the new Max Steel movie, based off the action figure, that's going to be destined for the bargain bin. That's going to be one that is just one that will be fun to laugh at and fun to mock in a couple of years' time once that gets some circulation. But those are my ones. I shall ask Bandit when he gets back what his favourite so bad they're good movies. So next question comes from Joseph Castleman McDaniel, who says, I love the podcast, guys, or guy, since he's just talking to me because Bandit's taking a dump. Sometimes better than the Weekly Planet. Oh, thanks, Joseph. My question is, what are your favourite movie deaths? Can be most bombastic, most emotional, most entertaining. There's Samuel L. Jackson's death from Deep Blue Sea, where he's given a really heroic speech. Everybody's getting really motivated. Then all of a sudden, giant freaking shark pops up right behind him and just eats him. It's one that just takes everybody off guard, and it's just incredibly memorable because you just don't see Samuel L. Jackson being the guy about to die in that scenario. One of the most impactful is obviously what's her name from Psycho, where she's in the shower, because you just... Back then in the 60s when the film came out, you just didn't see it coming. All of the marketing involved Janet Leigh. That's her name, Janet Leigh. She was part of the marketing. She's all over the poster. The movie just carries on for about half an hour just acting like it is her story. She is the lead of this movie. And then all of a sudden, bam, she's killed in the shower by this strange lady with a huge knife behind the shower curtain. It is one of the most impactful, iconic deaths of all time. In terms of most emotional, I can't remember the last time I flat out cried at a movie death. There is, of course, Dumbledore from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, but I don't think I've ever actually cried at a movie death. I'm trying to think. I tend to cry more at ideas in movies. No, I don't cry at all. I'm a manly man. What am I on about? But in terms of favorite movie deaths, Pulp Fiction. When the toaster goes off and all of the bullets just rain. That's that's another really impactful death. That's one that you really don't see coming. Quentin Tarantino has got a tendency to just kill off characters when you least expect it. Like whether it was in The Hateful Eight, that's you just don't see any of those characters dying when they do. I won't spoil who dies in The Hateful Eight because that's a relatively recent film, but some of those deaths are glorious, just gory as hell, wonderful stuff. I might actually ask Bandit's opinion on the Lemony Snicket's trailer. That's another question from Ben Goyoful. We'll wait till he comes back. There's another one from you and David I've got to ask Bandit. Bandit, come back from the toilet. I don't know how much longer I can last. Okay, Joshua Udi asks, what are your opinions on shaky cam? I can't remember if you guys have talked about this before. I don't know if I have with Bandit and Trey. They may have done before I came along. But shaky cam is one of those tools where if it's used well, it really, really works, like in Deepwater Horizon or in Saving Private Ryan. But sometimes, whether it's found footage or just terrible action scenes, it's just used as a crutch for lazy filmmaking. Like in Taken 3, there's a scene where Liam Neeson's character jumps over a fence. It is done in about 11 shots, and it's because shaky cam all the time, just him jumping over a fence, climbing over a fence. That is basically, we didn't have the budget to get a proper stuntman, and we just couldn't be bothered to film it properly. That it's a tool where it can be used to just hide bad filmmaking and a lack of talent. So shaky cam is something that can be really, really effective. But much like found footage, it's mainly just used to just hide a lack of talent. Okay, next question. I'm blazing through these because I don't have anyone to talk off to. Okay, best Netflix original show that isn't Marvel, Stranger Things, or Narcos. Damn it, those really are the three. I really enjoy House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. I think those are really enjoyable shows as well. I'm trying to watch more Netflix original films. Like there was that special correspondence film with Eric Bana and Ricky Gervais a couple of months back. That was okay. I need to watch Mascots. That's very recent. That's meant to be a really funny mockumentary about people who dress up in sports mascots costumes. Those big ones that you find at football games. Apparently there's a mockumentary based entirely on that premise, which is meant to be really, really funny, and the trailer was really funny for it. So I need to check those out. But for me, it's got to be Orange is the New Black or House of Cards, although I'll admit I'm like a series or two behind on Orange is the New Black because ironically it just kind of started to lose me. I didn't really feel that I needed to watch it. So what have we got? Bandit, where you gone? Okay, what other superhero suits could benefit from the classic Batman and Robin Bat Nipples makeover? That question is from Lee Morante. I think Iron Man is someone who could actually use those in practical terms. He could just have machine guns underneath the breastplate of his Iron Man costume. I think that would be a very practical way to incorporate that. Same goes for Green Lantern, because he can imagine whatever he wants on the suit, and if he wants gigantic vehicles to come out of his nipples on the Green Lantern suit and crush his opponents, who are we to judge? I think those two are the obvious answers. I think those are the ones that we can universally agree on. More questions. Okay, Dean Jones asks, do you think a Spider-Man Netflix series could work? You'd need the budget, because Spider-Man is a very expensive character. There's a reason Spider-Man 2 was the most expensive movie of all time at the time it was made, because those swinging effects, those stunts, the colourful costume, the colourful villains and everything, that's not a cheap show to make. And while Daredevil has a lot of great action sequences and stunt work, and Jessica Jones has a lot of locations and a lot of actors and a lot of great moments, those are relatively cheap in TV terms. Those are ones that you can imagine doing. Like, you can't imagine, say, Iron Man or Green Lantern, going back to those two. You can't imagine those being done on a cheaper TV budget. You would need really good swinging. You would need great web action, because Spider-Man, while he is in a grounded environment, while he is in New York City, he has larger than life powers. He has larger than life adversaries. He has these big bombastic fight scenes with multiple people. Like, one of his most famous villain groups is the Sinister Six, where you have these 6 larger than life characters like the Vulture, Dr. Octopus, Shocker, or Electro, or Rhino, because these these are not characters that you could do cheaply. These are expensive characters. There's a reason why the Amazing Spider-Man 2 had massive 200 million plus budgets, apart from Sony's terrible resource management. So while I think that thematically it could work if it was just from the perspective of, say, Peter Parker, if it was just Peter Parker in high school and it's hinted that he's got a double life, it could work, but you wouldn't really need the Spider-Man name for that. I think that could be its own original series. That could be a Netflix original show. But in terms of Spider-Man actually going out, saving the day, swinging around, delivering pizzas, bonking Mary Jane, whatever, that's expensive stuff. Mary Jane ain't cheap, so I'm told. Okay, more questions. Bandit, why are you taking so long pooping? What are you doing, man? What are you doing, man? You're really letting the side down. I'm just going to take a swig of water. Normally, when Bandit or Trey are talking, this is when I take my swig of water. But now it's just me, so I can't rely on that. Okay. Jack Fitzpatrick asks, these have been really popular lately. Which 3 fictional characters describe you? For me, I'd have to say John Matrix from Commando 3 times over. He's just like me in every way, serious. John Matrix from Commando... You think that he perfectly personifies you? That's quite a tall order, Jack. That's you may need to prove that. But my 3 fictional characters, because it was a Twitter hashtag for a while. It was describe yourself in 3 fictional characters. For me, I chose Ed, played by Nick Frost in Shaun of the Dead. My second one was Phoenix Wright from the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney franchise, the video game franchise. And the third one was a character called Warrior from a TV series called Tugs, where he's basically a big, clumsy, but lovable doofus guy. Those 3 seem to personify me. Those are mine. I can't remember what Trey's were last week, because we actually answered this question on the podcast last week. One of them was Dustin from Stranger Things. I can't really remember what the other 2 were. Hopefully Trey will get in the comment section and save me. And I hear activity on the other side. Bandit, can you hear me?
I'm back.
Yes, thank you. I just talked for about 10 minutes non-stop.
Hooray!
Yeah. So, right, here's a question for you, if you're ready for questions.
Yes, I was helping an old lady cross the street, everyone. I was helping an old lady cross the street, donating to charity, and preaching the good news. Praise be.
He was blocking the toilet. So, Bandit, what 3 fictional characters describe you?
Ooh.
Because this was like a Twitter hashtag a couple of weeks ago. What 3 fictional characters describe you? I chose Ed from Shaun of the Dead, Phoenix Wright from the Ace Attorney video game series, and Warrior from the kids show Tugs. Those are my 3.
We'll have to cycle back to that. I have to think about it. Yeah.
Okay, then let's go to the next question from Ewan David. If there was an apocalypse, what Tom Hanks character do you think would last the longest?
Oh, it's got to be the Castaway one, right? He's the biggest survivor.
See, I was thinking that as well, but let's not forget Forrest Gump, who is brainless, so the zombies aren't after him, and he can run really fast.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Does Sully come with his plane?
You just land on top of the zombies.
Yeah, but also, if you're with Tom Hanks Sully, if you get to an airport, he can fly you to safety.
He could. But,
but then airports would be packed. Everyone would have that idea, wouldn't it? So you'd need Tom Hanks Captain Phillips, who can drive a ship for you, because not many people would go by water. So
yeah. What about Woody from Toy Story? He'd survive. Zombies ain't going to eat him. He's just a toy. You are a toy!
That's true. He could sneak around, yeah.
See, the answer I gave, because we answered this on the podcast when it didn't work last week.
Yeah.
My answer was from the movie Cars. Tom Hanks voices a car version of Woody.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he's literally playing a car, he could just run over all the zombies. Or maybe he's in the Polar Express and he's just running everyone down.
Huh.
Yeah. So basically, your answer is Tom Hanks driving a vehicle. If it's the Polar Express or the plane from Sully or the boat from Captain Phillips.
I hadn't thought of that one, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'd actually probably go... So you can only have one Tom Hanks, right? You can't have 2.
I think so. I think it's 1.
I'd actually go with Captain Phillips because I'm pretty confident I could get us to like a shipyard, and then he could just steal a ship and sail it away, and we could just cruise out in the middle, just hang out there in the middle of the ocean until everything dies down.
Okay, so you think like for some reason every single Tom Hanks in all of his movies is because somehow all of them have been dropped in the middle of a field during a zombie apocalypse, and you think Captain Phillips survives the longest? Because that's the scenario I'm picturing here.
I'm thinking for your long-term safety, you're safer at sea than you are on land, and he's the only one who's...
Apollo 13?
No
zombies in space.
That's true. That's true.
So Tom Hanks is defined by his vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the correct answer.
I'll go with Captain Phillips because I'm pretty confident I can get us to the shoreline. But then he can sail us out to sea, and we just cruise out there and fish. There we go. Fish.
You know what's going to happen?
Food.
What's going to happen is that the zombie apocalypse is actually going to happen, and if I don't see you tweeting from a boat or something, I'm going to call you out. Like, oh, you said you were confident you'd get to the shipyard. Where's all that talk?
Or we'll get to the shipyard, and I'll be like, okay, drive the ship. He's like, but it takes a crew of like 30 to 40 people to run the engines, and you'd be like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, I did not think this through. Okay, let's go to Tom Quirk, who asks, thoughts on the Suicide Squad extended cut coming out on DVD? Because we talked about this in news last week, but you weren't here. So what are your thoughts on Suicide Squad extended cut?
I agree with what you said a while back about DC. DC need to stop releasing 2 movies instead of just one. They need to stop releasing the theatrical one and then saying, don't worry, there's going to be a director's special edition cut that explains everything, and then it doesn't. You know, just make a movie. Just make a movie, make it make sense, and release it. Because I'm not going to bother watching any special edition Suicide Squad, are you?
No, because I think that movie's broken from a fundamental level, and no extra footage is going to fix that. And I hated the Joker, so I don't see why more of him would make the movie better. It's like, hey, here's 15 minutes of us pooping on your face. You'll love it. It's like, no, I won't. Don't like poop on my face. That's the opposite of what I want. We've got a question from... I'm interested in your opinion on this. A question from Ben Goyofoyle. I've probably butchered that name. Thoughts on the Lemony Snicket Netflix trailer?
I haven't seen it. Don't know what it is. What is Lemony Snickets?
Do you know Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events?
Oh, yep.
They're making a Netflix series with Neil Patrick Harris and Patrick Warburton, and over the past week or two, they dropped a teaser trailer for it.
Okay, is it like a bio of the guy who wrote those books?
No, it's a series based on the books. But the author of the books is played by Patrick Warburton, who is like Hitchcock style, talking to the audience in this teaser trailer. Like, there's no actual footage from the series; it's just him talking on a film set.
Ooh.
So you can watch that on
that does have me
YouTube
weirdly
or
interested,
Facebook.
even though I don't know what it is.
But it's coming out on Friday the 13th, 2017.
Okay. Wow. Awesome.
And we've also got Black Mirror coming out in like a week or two's time on Netflix. I can't wait for that. That's going to be so good. I'm trying to think of any more questions. Have you seen anything, or?
I'm still in the back of my head. I'm still trying to process that 3 movie characters that are like you. It's difficult though, because like all the movie characters are like superheroes and like stuff, and it's like there's none that are just like regular people that you could say, yeah, I'm like that. Maybe like Thor's mate Daryl, his roommate. That's probably like the closest to me. Just
all 3 of yours are Daryl.
Yes.
You are Daryl.
Just kind of living a quiet life, you know. Just sitting there typing on my computer. Hey, what you doing? Just working. Latest video, just working.
What are you going to do later? Probably it's more work.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so what were your 3 again?
My 3 were Ed from Shaun of the Dead, played by Nick Frost.
Yep.
Phoenix Wright's Ace Attorney. And Warrior from Tugs.
Yeah, see, I don't know those last 2.
Fair enough. trying to think of one more question. Trying to think of one that we didn't answer last week, or trying not to repeat myself from... Oh, do you have a favourite movie death?
Ooh.
One that was like most impactful or most emotional?
Yeah.
Because that's a question from... I'm trying to find the name.
I immediately think of all the gory ones.
Yeah.
Because those were most impactful.
The one I picked when I was rambling on my own was Samuel L. Jackson from Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, yes!
When he's given the heroic speech, then all of a sudden, bam, shark.
That is really good. That is a really good one. I was thinking, actually, a little bit similar. I was thinking of DiCaprio in Departed. Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just because I did not see that coming. Just, elevator doors open, his brains end up on the back of it.
There's a similar death in Burn After Reading, where
oh yeah,
where Brad Pitt hides in George Clooney's cupboard, and then all of a sudden the cupboard doors open, and he's like, "Hi," and then George Clooney gets frightened that there's somebody in there, just shoots him in the face.
Yep. You just see Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and Brad Pitt's like, "Hi."
He's got this goofy smile and just boom, bullet hole right between the eyes. Actually, there is another one. Have you seen the movie Drive with Ryan Reynolds?
Yes, I have.
Remember, there's a bit in that where the guy's like, shoves a fork in a dude's eye, and then knifes him in the throat, and he's like, "Now it's your turn to clean up after me." That one was really disturbing because it's like,
yeah.
He's talking to his mate over there, and he's like, "We got to clean up all the loose ends," and he kind of just sort of nods to the dude over there like he's a loose end, and he like nods like, "Yeah, okay, fine, take him out." So he grabs the fork, right in the guy's eye, and then just and just makes that wet sort of sloshing sound as he stabs the guy, and I was like, "Ooh, really brutal."
Well, yeah. In the same movie, there's Christina Hendricks. And she's just in the bathroom, and then all of a sudden a shotgun shell comes through the window and just blasts her face off.
Yeah, her
and
head
you don't
just
see it coming.
breaks like an egg.
Yeah. Oh god,
dude! And then he like stomps a guy's head to pieces in the elevator.
Ooh.
You don't see that though; you just hear it. Yeah.
What's the movie with the curb stomp? I can't remember.
I think that's American History X.
Okay. Yes,
Edward
it is.
Edward Norton, that one, yeah.
Oh,
that's brutal.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But right, I think that's really everything.
Okay.
Unless there's any questions you really wanted to take.
Yeah, see, you still got me thinking about that thing. I'll think of it and I'll come up with an answer for next week.
You better do. I'll call you out on it if you don't.
All right, totally. And with that, thank you for watching, everyone, and thank you to this week's special artist, which you can see on the phone right now. I didn't make note of the guy's name. Did you make note of the guy's name?
His Twitter handle is Danny DeSanta, but it's a 2 instead of an S. So Danny did 2 anta.
Awesome.
But I don't think that's what he means.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Danny. He gave us our Grand Theft Auto style thumbnail with Margot Robbie, which is awesome. Love that.
I think that's a bit of false advertising.
Yeah.
False advertising, just, oh, Margot Robbie's in the podcast. Oh, there's a hot Australian in the podcast. Awesome. And then, nope.
You got her, and then you got BB-8 in the opposite corner. Great.
Yeah, BB-8. A generic, nice car, Millennium Falcon.
And I'm in the Mad Max background. That's good. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, dude. That was awesome. Excellent work. So, join us next week when we will talk about the last of the Harry Potters? Or is it our Benedict Cumberbatch episode?
What was that in? Oh, that was for Doctor Strange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Either way, we're going British. No matter what happens.
That's right. One of them. Where can people find you, Trilbee?
You can find me on my own podcast, the Film Brits podcast, or you can find me on YouTube at Trilbee Reviews or on my website, www.trilbee.com, and also the Trilbee Reviews on Twitter and Facebook. And Bandit, what about you?
People can find me YouTube, Facebook, Twitter as Bandit Incorporated. Thank you all for watching our Movie Maniacs.